live.
That checks.
It's part of the show where we make sure we're going live, and we're not live. Let's see.
Let's give it like another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's
All right, we're live. We're live. We're officially live, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello and welcome to the BatYard's finest podcast, bringing you the finest Superman and Batman news across multimedia and more. I'm your host, Connor Donovan. Nope, it's weird. There we go.
Yeah, I'm Josh from Metropolis. How y'all doing? And we'll go with you.
I'm Jerry, still your resident Green Lantern from Oa, and this guy.
Hey guys, I'm Mateo from Gotham. How you guys doing?
Holy shit, that was flawless.
And I'm Mateo Crispy. Welcome to the BatYard's Productions podcast.
So, if you guys don't know, what you should know, Connor is our special guest for today, our special guest host. So he's hosting.
They told me this 5 minutes ago.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm just gonna make that perfectly clear.
Well, we gave him the option.
That's true. They asked me if I wanted to, and I, with no preparation, I said, "Sure, what the hell?"
Exactly the challenge. You heard it all here, folks.
So this is a segment where we have BSBS, basically standing for BS, Batman, Superman, or whatever news or any tidbits we want to throw at each other. I don't know if you guys have anything off the top of your head. I actually
do.
Oh, well, Jerry, you go ahead. You go ahead, Jerry.
So
perfect. He's the one who said he had something, so he should talk. You're right.
Yeah.
So obviously, this is a Spider-Man episode. So I paraded around the cobwebs of the portal to Narnia on the internet. And I actually saw it's not really so much news, I guess you could say, but it's more like something fans have been saying and trying to convince the world of. So since the release of Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of people have been coming out of the woodwork saying, how would people feel if Andrew Garfield finally got his third movie in his series, and why they feel Andrew Garfield was the best out of the Spider-Men. And personally, I don't care for Andrew Garfield. I don't think he's a terrible actor. I just don't think he was right for Spider-Man. And you couldn't pay me money unless it was Marvel MCU, then I'm going to sing the praises of the choir about Andrew Garfield, but you couldn't pay me to go watch another Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I saw that movie for free, and I wanted my money back.
Thank you.
I know what you mean.
I feel like my thoughts.
Just see it for free.
I was on a bus as they were doing it like the in drive movie, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like my thoughts on that tie in with the movie. So I don't want to say anything until we discuss
Fair
that.
Spoilers to come.
Okay, no.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wait on that.
No. So I can say stuff. I really don't like Andrew Garfield as a Spider-Man. I really don't. Like, all his two movies were not they weren't good.
Movies were
they lacked this proper storytelling, it felt, and like they changed up the villains a little bit here and there and stuff. It just felt weird.
They were the movies Sony made because they knew they needed to keep the rights.
Yeah, and it's just like, and Spider-Man didn't feel right at all with Andrew Garfield running around as him.
I like some of the stuff he did while he was Spider-Man, like how he would use, when it was, I think the second, I don't even remember because I didn't even finish both of them. I quit like 40 minutes and I'm like,
then why see the second one if you quit?
My spider sense started tingling like, oh no, this is a shit movie.
It was when he was fighting Dr. Connors as the Lizard. He made that impromptu spider web. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's something spiders do to get a feel for, their prey. And then he webbed them up and was crawling around like a spider, just trying to immobilize them. I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's more spider-like, but not more Spider-Man. That was more of a man spider.
Yeah, more of a man spider. No, I totally agree with you there. He just Andrew Garfield never felt like Peter Parker to me. He exudes too much coolness, you know?
Yeah.
I guess I've seen him in a lot of stuff I like. Tick, Tick, Boom, most recently on Netflix. He's fantastic.
I really want to see that.
But he's so energetic, you know, he's got such natural charisma. Whereas, Peter Parker is kind of a character we think of as being more reserved, more almost brooding, but in a more innocent, lighthearted way, you know, because he's the relatable nerd. He's the AV club guy. He's the neighborhood photographer, depending on which area you're in. Andrew Garfield just didn't feel like Spider-Man, in my opinion, either.
I completely agree. He's like the natural cool guy. He's like everybody knows him. Like he can.
The end of the movie, he's walking around in a tank top. He looks fucking awesome in it. That's my problem. I like Andrew Garfield too much.
He's like John Travolta in Grease. He's just
Hey
man, where's the gabagoo?
Oh no.
Yeah, they should have.
I feel like at one point he did say that in the movie, though. He definitely did like a bad New York accent.
Yeah, they should have had Tony Soprano. They should have had Tony Soprano playing Spider-Man.
Big Booty Dandy here is stating he was really hipster.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a little too cool. He had that like freaking what was the song? He was like skateboarding around. They're playing like Coldplay or something, some song like that. Like when he was like, it was just too edgy. And too cool. And like you're not Peter Parker. Peter Parker's supposed to be lame. You know, you're too cool to be.
Yeah, he's supposed to be goofy.
He's not supposed to have game.
That's why I love Tobey Maguire, because he's like the biggest loser, and like it completely works for me.
True though, yeah. Because I get it. I like him because I feel like that's how I feel day to day.
He was pretty good as Spider-Man. He had like some better quips, I gotta say, as Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire did as Spider-Man. But you know, I kind of liked how he still had that geeky charm, Tobey Maguire, throughout. Like he was still like true to his origin, you know, like he was still true to being a nerd, you know. So that's why I like Tobey's portrayal either way. Yeah. And I think Tom Holland's like happy medium of the two, I guess, you know.
Yeah. When I think of Tobey Maguire, I think of like, who, you know, he's like the lanky kid in class. Like you see him, but you don't talk to him. You could find him at, you know, like the independent film, movie theater, card shops, comic book stores, the record, you know, buying records and stuff.
Oh, definitely like, at the record
all
store.
Total geek and nerd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And Andrew, he was literally just too cool for school. I didn't hate it, but I definitely had a strong dislike for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say too much because it's gonna like dive into my review of the Spider-Man. What is this fucking movie called? Far From Home.
Far From Home was the last one.
Well, they should change the title to something better.
No, they have to.
Josh is too excited for the next Aquaman movie. He can't focus on Spider-Man.
Yeah. No, I'm not. When is that coming out? I don't even know when that's coming out.
No one knows.
What is it? No Place Like Home. Spider-Man, No Place Like Home. I like that title.
He's Dorothy.
There is magic.
Yeah, I feel like that fits
Clips
better.
his Spidey heels.
So Big Booty Dandy says Tobey Spider-Man was still bullied in college. He was such a nerd.
That's very true, and that was still relatable.
Yeah, he was
like I'm not saying I wanted to beat him up, but I definitely wanted to hustle him out of his milk money. Hey Parker, give me your money for chocolate milk.
Yeah, he had that. He definitely had that look to him, but you know, it worked. He's Spider-Man. Spider-Man's supposed to be lame.
That's true. I agree.
So I have one thing to throw back from last episode. So Matt revealed that there's. I just want to correct. There's one correction I want to state. I guess the Alan Wake remastered came out 2 months ago. It's not coming out in 2 years. It came out 2 months ago. So that already came out. So Matt, you could play it now. You can play that game now.
Okay.
I was gonna say I was talking to a buddy of mine about that.
Oh,
He's been playing it. And he's been
And
enjoying
it's on
it.
sale for the
yeah,
holiday.
that game's great. If you haven't had the chance to play Alan Wake, and if you have the ability to get the remaster, go do it. You know, I don't have the ability because I don't have PS5 or Xbox 5000 or whatever it's called. So yeah, I just wanted to correct that statement from last episode. That's all I have. Does anyone?
Well, while you're still on,
I have
the Batman trailer. You guys see the Batman trailer?
trailer
I
number
was
3,
just
yes.
about to mention that.
Oh,
I haven't
sorry.
watched it.
Dan the
I
cat.
just got the notification when Josh said it. I was like, okay, I gotta make time to watch this, and I fell asleep.
Oh.
Not a good sign for that movie. No, but I think that movie looks awesome. You know my treatise. I love the fact that Robert Pattinson is finally getting to achieve his dream of playing Batman. He's been talking about it for years. Let's fucking go.
Has he been talking about it?
Yeah, dude, this is his passion project. He's been talking about it since he did Water for Elephants back in 2013, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
It's been that long.
That was the first movie I saw him in post-Twilight where I was like, oh, he's an actor. He's good. Like,
Yeah.
We don't talk about Twilight.
Mm-mm.
That's a
Exactly.
dark
That's
part of
exist.
filmography, right?
Those are the wrong Batmen. We don't talk about those bad people.
I feel like Ben Affleck said the same thing though. Like, oh, this is my passion project.
Yeah,
And
but Ben Affleck's never cared about anything in his wife. Ever since he's been married to like
The
7
shovel
different
chin,
like
that's all he's cared
Hollywood
about.
baddies. Yeah. Sad Batfleck, the meme of sad Bat. I keep calling it Batfleck. The meme of sad Affleck smoking the cigarette on his porch, just looking like this. Like, that's who he is.
he looked like he gave up a while
Yeah,
ago.
he hasn't cared for years. He's like, yeah, it'd be awesome to play Batman.
I mean, I definitely
Be
think
wicked
Robert
awesome.
Pattinson is a better actor than Ben Affleck. Not saying I don't think Ben Affleck's a bad actor. I think Robert Pattinson is a better actor.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
I
Robert
agree.
Pattinson will be a better Batman.
Definitely.
Same here. I feel like this whole movie is gonna be pretty awesome. It's probably gonna wipe out a lot of what Zack Snyder kind of like put in.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
It's
it is.
its own
Some shenanigans from
universe.
that.
It's like
movie.
I'm just-
completely.
I just want to see what happens in the trailer. You see him get lit up by machine gun fire. I just want to see how fucked up is his armor and where he's gonna go with this.
Oh yeah, are we gonna see him like stumbling and falling, or is this Batman? Is this like Tom Holland's Spider-Man? Are we just gonna skip the origins that everybody already knows, or are we gonna see him? Are we gonna see him finding his
It
footing?
seems like it's going to be
I
a
think
lot of.
I think at this point we should just skip it because we've seen it so
Yeah.
much and we know it like the back of our hand.
Exactly. Batman's up there with Spider-Man in terms of just being done over and over and over again. Everybody knows the deal.
Cousin Tony says I can't blame Affleck for losing interest, and
As he
yeah, I
should.
can't blame him either because those
Yeah.
movies sucked, and he was the best part of those movies. You know, he was literally
Yeah.
the saving grace of Batman vs Superman. And
Yeah.
you know, the Snyder Cut was okay. It was entertaining. It was good.
It was different.
I wish they cut out like
It's a lot.
like 2 hours of the movie. I think I would have.
But I don't see myself going to see like a universe based around what I saw in the Snyder Cut. You know, it was cool. It was an interesting art piece, but
What about the ending where they get Jared Leto's Joker again, who ate a big dog turd?
yeah, I was gonna say, slip my wrists. I can't wait for more of that.
Okay.
Excited for that?
Speaking
Why they
of
say
Jared
more
Leto,
shit up that's not even going to happen. Like, why would they say that?
No, I don't know. Just to, I don't know, get him to stop saying it.
No. Well, go ahead, Jerry. Sorry.
so as we all know, Jared Leto, like a lot of people who have done DC movies, he's switching from DC and making his way into Marvel. I think I've mentioned this like once before.
Yeah, Morbius.
When the Morbius, but we're not
Can't
going
wait
to talk
for
about
Morbius.
that. We don't care about Morbius.
That's Sony
I care
Marvel.
about
Dr.
Morbius.
So-
I don't.
I want to
There's
see Morbius.
Also, another new Spider-Man coming out. I think sometime in 3 years. I can't remember, the Into the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Yes, Part 2.
Yeah, because it's like a weird 2-part movie.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're doing the Deathly Hallows
And
thing.
I'm hyped for it, but I have some questions and concerns. Number one, why are we getting another one per se? I'm not against it. It's just like they already got all the spider people together and then disbanded. And in the trailer, they had the Spider-Man from, I think it's 2099.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that's got the fangs that has the venom in it, if I remember.
The blue and red cyber suit guy.
Yeah. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, well, this is an obvious spoiler. If you haven't watched Into the Spider-Verse now, this is your own fault. So you should be ashamed. You know, he was at the end credit scene after Into the Spider-Verse, but they only did the Spider-Man like, and that's all they used him for. And I'm like, okay, that was funny, I guess. So now it's looking like he's gonna be an antagonist, maybe, because he was tussling. I'm not going to say fighting. He was a tussle with Miles Morales.
Yeah.
So
could just be another quick misunderstanding, like when Miles Morales slapped the hell out of Peter B. Parker.
Yeah, I'm just.
I know what you mean. It could go either way, and Spider-Verse did kind of seem like one of those lightning in a bottle hits, you know?
Yeah, like I think it'll still be good. I'm actually excited for it, and I feel like there was a little bit more of a setup for the Spider-Man 99 at the end of it, wasn't it? What's his name? Who plays Poe Dameron? I keep.
Oh, that was Oscar Isaacs.
Oscar Isaac plays him, and I feel like there was another. It wasn't just the pointing. I thought he had like something else. Like he has a line of.
No, he had like a little. He did have dialogue. Then he goes running off, and then just do the bullshit thing. He lands.
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit more.
Like, I am happy that, you know, Miles Morales, the Black Spider-Man, is getting another movie and more representation, you know, outside of just his game, so we can, you know, expose more of, you know, African-American heroes.
There's got to be a Black Spider-Man out there somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm just like, you know, why another Into the Spider-Verse? You gave it to me once, and depending on how you do it, it's going to either feel recycled or it's going to feel hollow. I'm
worried about it being like Elf 2, you know, that movie Will Ferrell never made. Exactly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I get that to agree. I get it to a
so
degree.
It's, but I'm excited, but I'm excited with extreme caution.
Morbid curiosity.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't think it'll be as good as the first one, but I'm so excited to see what they bring because was it Lord and Miller, very good directors, and I'm assuming they're still attached to it. So if they still bring that comedic flair and all their, there's the cops are driving through the podcast.
That's probably the ambulance. I live by the hospital.
I thought that was me. I live by 3 of them.
No, but no, I thought. I mean, I don't think it'll be as like Jerry was saying. I think the first one's such a lightning in a bottle movie. I don't think it's going to be on the same caliber, but I think it'll still be entertaining, so good and well made. So I'm excited for more Spider-Verse. You know, the Spider-Verse was like one of the best Spider-Man movies we got, and that's saying a lot because we got a lot of great ones, and we're going to talk about one later on.
It is terrific.
Yeah, I just wanted to read this comment from Cat Night Hollow 1203. Jared Leto
I don't know what you're talking about.
A bit methy. I'm assuming you're talking about Jared Leto as a Joker. Look methy. Or
absolutely did.
He looks kind of like he did some drugs too.
Yeah,
he looked like he did opium,
you know,
from like 1782 China. He did
opium 10 Joker.
So I just wanted to reply to your comment before we moved on.
Thank you so much for participating in the stream.
And the love of Jared Leto. So wait, Connor, I mean, I know we talked about a little bit about Morbius last time. I just wanted to see what your thoughts are because I'm not really interested. I don't care about Morbius. I know, Jerry, you're kind of indifferent about it, right? Like,
I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence.
yeah.
I think it could be good, but you gotta wrestle.
And you're more of a Marvel guy, so like,
Definitely.
yeah. So what are your thoughts on Morbius in the trailer?
Well, I know this takes place in the same universe or part of the multiverse that Venom has been teed up and set off in. And after the first and second Venom movies, I've decided to sort of stop taking Marvel and Sony stuff specifically too seriously. Because we had this conversation when Godzilla vs. Kong came out. Like, I was just shitting on it the entire lead up to it, and eventually it hit me what integrity did they ever claim to have? They're just having fun at the movies, and it was the same deal with Venom and Venom: Let There Be Carnage. It was by no stretch a great movie or anything, but it kept my attention for the full 2 hours, whatever, both times. So I'm going into Morbius with the same basic morbid excitement. Yeah, I'm not going in there expecting, Citizen Kane starring Jared Leto or anything like that. But I know I'm going to have fun at the movies. The way they're doing the vampire senses looks awesome as hell. The sort of smoky background world where he's perceiving it extrasensor rarely, if that's a word. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to celebrate it after I see it, but I'm definitely going to go to see it. I feel like I'm going to have a good time.
I can agree with that. That's how I feel.
Two kinds of people, I guess.
I think we all as moviegoers know Sony has no business doing superhero movies, especially with how they've just fucked everything that they've touched. Everything that they've touched, they've ruined in some way, shape, or fashion.
Except for Spider-Verse.
The only thing I don't like about it is that it seems like Sony is trying to trick the average movie-going audience that this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So / Marvel.
They really are leaning hard into that.
People who are just average moviegoers, who don't dive deep like we do, don't know that this is even a separate, universe or studio even. They're like, oh yeah, Marvel. This is part of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Oh yeah, Venom. He licked the TV screen. Cool. I know him. It's I that's the thing where it's a little cynical and I don't like it. It's kind of getting under my skin.
It's like they're stroking their own dicks and rubbing them in our face. Just sensually.
Or worse, telling everybody else they have Kevin Feige's dick.
Oh my gosh. Matt, you're pretty quiet. Do you have any BS? It seems
there's just a lot going on.
Trying to get over there.
What's going on?
He's trying to get over the initial shock of being cocksmacked by Sony.
Oh my god.
No. I'm used to your talk, but I'm just and just in my head, I'm like, this podcast. We do curse, we say some crazy shit, but never say anything like that lately on here.
Yeah, nothing too sexual or sexual. But now
that's what Sony's been doing.
And now we do. This is the beauty of the show. You never know what's going to happen because we're live. Fuck it.
I'll write it and we'll do it live. Class act.
Come on, you have something, Matt. Come on, what do you got? What do you got here?
Nothing really anything pop culture. It's just me. I just want to talk about how I just picked up this new manga and everything. Dark. It's made by one of my favorite artist and / author that made this other series called Doro that came out. I made a post a story on it a couple nights ago. I've been waiting for the physical copy to come to stores and everything. Matt, it is frozen for me. Well, then you figure this out.
Refresh your live stream.
I'm frozen for you.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, you look fine, Matt. I'm looking at the live stream right now. You're good.
Okay, but I saw the comment. I'm noticing. Yeah. No, I've been waiting for the physical to come out probably for a while. It's been supposedly the first volume's been out for a while, but never in stores, or every time I try to find it, it's kind of sold out on Amazon. So I kind of gave up. I got a digital copy, and I hate digital copy because I forget about it. It's on my phone, and I don't go back to it. And Jerry here is the person that reminds me to read all my digital chapters of all my manga that I read currently going.
You got to keep them around. You got to keep people like that around. Don't let you fall behind in your manga.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Crispy, don't forget to get Eden Zero tonight.
No,
not right now, just later.
You wait if you're a good boy.
Give me like 10 minutes. I'll be right back. No, but this is pretty neat. It takes place in like space, and it's like a dark, goofy comedy like style thing. It's in space and there's like roaming around. I kind of like how like some of the artwork is like kind of like she does like weird like kind of like cool artwork that more is like once you get further into like some universes like right here, it kind of has like a weird like cool like feel to it. Like it's different than I usually see people like kind of do sometimes. Even in Dory, it just feels a lot. It's good artwork, but it feels dirty and weird, and so it's like it's just a weird look. That's really it.
Have you read through it yet? Have you finished it, or are you just started?
What Dory I finished. Dire Dark is her newest, the newer manga series she's been putting out.
Yeah.
So I need to catch up. Right now, I think she has only 3 volumes out in store right now. Last time I looked. So I need to pick up the next 2.
Oh, so you finished that one?
No, I'm not done with this one yet. I'm like I had to start rereading it, so I'm only a quarter way through. So,
would you recommend it? Like, would you do a light recommendation, even though you haven't finished it?
I would say if you do like I would say it depends on like how you like your your style of like your read is. Like if I would recommend, I'd rather have you read Doro to get a good feel.
Oh, I love Doro.
If you like the style of that book, like that volume set, you will get into Dire Dark because basically Dire Dark is kind of feels like it's the same universe, but it's not because of the artwork.
But same studio, I imagine.
Oh no, same person.
Oh, okay, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm kind of disappointed with the book though. Doro has these like nice little like folds, like on the like back end that you can fold and like put into the book, and you can hold your place properly.
Yeah.
And it feels it's so nice. But like this one is like, okay, I still like the book, but like I kind of missed that feature. But at the end of it, I never had this stuff in the back.
A crossword puzzle? That's old school.
Matt, don't write in it. If you do, it won't be worth $1 million in 100 years from now.
Do they have a write-in ad for the Red Ryder BB gun in there too?
I kind of wish.
If you write in it, it's not going to be worth money anymore in 100 years.
Is there an ad for a pet rock?
Give me 1 second.
I can't believe that was a
looks
thing.
Like a rock.
Made money off that.
No, I'm just joking.
How was that a thing?
Hey, every generation has their pet rock. For us, it was fidget spinners.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like ours was more the silly bands. We were more silly bands. I think fidget.
Actually, you're right. That was more useless. You're right.
No way. No. Pet rock was that. Remember those commercials for the worm thing with the googly fucking eyes? That was supposed to go around and do all crazy shit because it was on.
Oh, it's like on a string.
Yeah, it was on a string.
Yeah,
that was our pet rock.
Is this from Happy Land or whatever store you bought zoo pets at that I apparently never went to as a kid?
It was like a magic trick. I wish I could show it, but we don't have that luxury today because there's.
I'll Google it later. String worm, Google eyes, watching you.
Oh god.
My gosh. So do you guys have any other BSBS, or should we move on to the main events?
Well, a good transitionary piece of news was CNN just broke the news today that Spider-Man No Way Home was the first pandemic movie to make $1 billion at the box office. First movie since 2019 to make $1 billion in tickets, $1 billion in ticket sales.
Yay!
People
the first
came out for
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I see.
Well, yeah, we all flocked to that shit.
That's cool.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
That was the first weekend. It was
glad they
packed
didn't
for me, then
stream
the
it
second
on
weekend
Disney.
was full.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm
Because
glad
everyone had the same play.
They didn't do the Black Widow route and stream it on Disney Plus.
No, they knew. Oh, they knew people were coming out for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They knew they could.
They knew they were going to lose too much money if they did that.
Exactly. Yeah, they were like, all right, Black Widow. There's like not a huge fan base in the MCU. There's a big one. But they knew they could like.
Haven't watched Black Widow.
It's worth a watch. It's a good action movie.
I heard it was
not a Marvel
It's
movie.
formulaic. It's another Marvel movie. You know, it's not breaking any new ground. But the cast did a good job. The choreography is good. Taskmaster, just ignore Taskmaster. But other than that, pretty solid flick. I thought.
Right. I might watch
Found
it.
them.
Oh yeah, those are it. Those
What the
things.
hell?
Those stupid.
Those are our pet rocks. That's our pet rocks.
Looks like cat toys.
They are cat toys. They basically are. They have a string.
Well, there
on
you
them,
go.
so it's the same thing. So before we move on, cousin Tony asked, "Do you remember those dumbass pens with the faces on them?"
Yes, yes, I do.
Think so.
I don't know. I have to see it. I guess.
Oh, let me see. 2000s face pens. Not pens.
What?
Talk about these fucking things?
Yep, those
I have
things.
no idea what the fuck that is. I've never seen that.
Tony, are you talking
Those
about
were
these?
Horrible. I remember.
Tony, confirm.
Oh God.
I have no idea what that is. Okay.
Me either.
All right.
Well, that's
Wait,
not
wait.
what I was thinking of at all.
Oh my
I
god.
found these guys. That's what I thought you was talking about for a second until I saw those
my
monstrosities.
I have no idea. I don't know. We'll wait for Tony's reply. But okay. So, do you guys have any other BSB? Oh, it is. Tony confirms. Yes.
Oh, you was thinking of what okay.
Okay.
I was
I don't
thinking of what you
remember
were
those.
thinking of.
I don't remember those
Oh
at all.
no. Me either.
Do you? Okay. So, do you guys have any other BSBS before we move on to the main events?
Jerry, don't forget to sign in the Konosuba after we're done here. All right.
Got you.
What?
Got
I feel like that could have been an email, but all right.
It's a gotcha game that me and Jerry play that's attached to an anime that we watch, but we don't have a season 3. But now we're getting a season 3, and we're getting additional manga ads for the volumes now because everyone's going nuts about it.
How do you get ads in a book? How is that possible?
Well, Jesus Christ! If you notice, I just showed you something. No, the adding they stopped at volume 12.
12.
You get
Or
pop-up
manga series
ads in
for
a
some
book,
reason?
like in the middle of reading it, like a fucking ad for Verizon Wireless comes out.
I'm not
Hey, why
surprised.
not,
we haven't had that.
You can't skip it.
It's the last
For
frontier.
physical
You can't turn the page.
You rip the
Oh
page
my
out.
God. Oh my God! What if that was a thing for everything?
Well, now they're listening to us, and they're gonna make it a thing now.
I was gonna say,
No,
wait
imagine-
5 years. That's how it'll be on Kindle Reader.
No. Now imagine you're trying to be some guy's trying to be sneaky and watch a porno mag, or read a porno
What the
mag,
fuck?
and
Why
publish
you
it
going
for everybody.
into porn?
And then the ad comes out. An ad
Why is
comes
that
out
your
for
first
it.
thought?
Because
All right,
now
hold on.
just
All right,
imagine
let's
that.
move on. Let's move on.
That'd be
Yeah.
funny as shit.
Okay.
We're lost.
Okay. So we're going to discuss the Spider-Man 1967 series,
Yes.
the original Spider-Man cartoon, and I want Connor to do the little, if you could, do a little synopsis on the basic story of the origin of Spider-Man.
Sure. So the 1967 cartoon, Spider-Man the Animated Series. This episode, I don't believe it was the pilot episode. It was
It's
just sort of a
not,
flashback in the premiere order. But it takes you through a very comic book-esque origin of Peter Parker gaining his spider powers. And 1967 animation in America is still kind of a pretty new concept, especially color animation. And that shows, So it's an interesting art style coupled with the way the voices were recorded, influencing how lines were read. But 1967 cartoon. The animation looks like it was ripped straight from the panels of the comic books.
It
likely
does.
Because, likely because the artist probably had similar training. And the classic Spider-Man origin story.
Yeah, it actually does it a lot of justice. I don't know if have you guys ever seen this before? Have any of you seen this episode or?
No, I haven't seen this one, but I have seen. I think it was like Spider-Man and Friends or Spider-Man and Pals. I think it was called, where it was
Spider-Man is Amazing Friends.
Yeah, that's it. Spider-Man is Amazing Friends.
That was from the 80s, and that was a great show. Yeah, where he'd like hang out with the X-Men and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I remember watching.
That one was the jam.
Yeah, this was actually my introduction to Spider-Man. Was this episode? So
really?
It's like a perfect way to get introduced to Spider-Man as a kid. When I seen this, it was like Stan Lee. It was on a VHS tape, and Stan Lee like opens it up. He's like, "Yeah, I was trying to come up with this concept for a new superhero, and I was looking at a bug, and I was like, oh, a guy who sticks to the wall like a human fly, and I was like." And then he was thinking like Spider-Man, and he's like kind of like explaining the whole concept of how he made Spider-Man. I was really young when I seen this, probably 5 or 6 or maybe even younger. But this is a perfect introduction to Spider-Man if you're like a little kid or something like that. So that's why I was like, oh, I really want to talk about this. This episode. But I love the music. I think the music is like one of the best.
Oh yeah, right.
That was definitely one of my favorite pieces.
Epic score.
So Matt, have you seen this before?
I've seen some of the early episodes, but never this episode.
I see.
And like Jerry, and like how like what Jerry was stating, I've seen like the Fantastic Friends like episodes and all that stuff, and then on anything mostly in the future stuff from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really too much you could really say about this. I mean, like, it's a basic origin story of Spider-Man, and they do it like beat for beat, like what it is in the comic books, and it's seems like it's very true to what it is, at least at that time. Uncle Ben has maybe one line of dialogue.
Yep.
Where's Peter? Is he up in his room again? He was like obscenely old. Uncle Ben in this one. I've never seen Uncle Ben so old.
If he didn't get shy, he was gonna die within a week anyway.
Yeah.
He was suffering from peanut brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he said Aunt May. Do you know where Peter? I'm like,
yeah.
Or Aunt May.
He's such an industrious boy. But it's interesting you bring that up because listening to the voice actor for Peter Parker must have been 40 years old if he was a day. It was interesting listening to him try to be like a high school guy. But he's just like, sorry, I've got to get to this dissertation on nuclear physics. In fact, I'm assisting. I just got my books out of my locker.
Yeah, I love
from that class I take in high school.
Yeah, that's an awesome class. I would love to take
that. It's a pretty rad class, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if he was gonna bail out on like hanging out with the 3 girls and these 2 random guys he just met up with to see a spider being radioactive, like turn into a radioactive spider, I think I would choose the spider. I would choose the latter. Okay. I would choose the latter. And they're like notified bookworm or whatever.
Yeah, and he took that real personally. Yeah. He was stewing over being called a bookworm. Like, really, bookworm?
I'm gonna get those guys back. I'll show them.
I'll get even.
Yeah. I'll get even.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love like I love the beginning, like the introduction, and there's like this narrator who lasts like for 2 seconds, like on a summer like a September day with like a bunch of students or whatever he says, and it's so random with these two guys. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna hang out with these girls, but there's one of them has to bail. Oh, Peter,
we need a random guy.
Yeah. Oh, there you
well,
are.
One of them.
Hey
just
Parker,
said,
come here for a second.
Bring all three of
Yeah.
them. Well, the ones are like, let's take all. There's better odds. There's better odds to have all three.
Well,
One
they
does say that.
They need a third one. They need 3 and 3. And like, it seems like they don't even know these girls. They don't even refer to them by their name at all.
It's just random people.
Yeah, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll pick up these dames and we'll drive around.
Yeah, I was gonna. Didn't even bother giving them voice actors.
Yeah,
We're gonna take them to the soda parlor.
Yeah.
Down by the 5 and 10, grab an egg cream.
I mean the animation is kind of wonky with the frames, like the movements. But,
I love the web swinging. I love the web swinging part.
The animation
was
swings.
nice.
He swings.
They had a lot of frames for it.
It increased.
The
animation super.
Through the window. There's a part when he swings through like the business, like the apartment buildings, and he just shoots a web inside the building, but he just literally just goes right through the window and he's outside the window and just swinging. And he just swings the air. He just keeps going.
The guy just drops his cigar. He's like,
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be the best.
I love the webs that the webbing, him swinging just goes off of one web swing. And he goes down like 8 blocks, and then
exactly. That's true.
They were obviously like, well, we can't afford to like do every single realistic swing, so let's just get him over a couple of blocks with one web.
And this is where the back comes in for Spider-Man. That one cast is him swinging.
To be fair,
you know where all the animation went.
Yeah, it significantly increased during the web swinging segments. Like he's actually moving around. He's like rotating around a flagpole. Like he actually did a somersault, and there's like actual frames happening during that sequence. But they use it multiple times, so they're like, "Oh yeah, we use like Jerry was saying, we use all our budget on the web swing, and we got to use it 5 times." Which
we're gonna give watercolors for the background of the skies.
Yeah. I love it. This whole series is very charming, and I think this episode is pretty charming. And well, I mean, just for me, I have the nostalgic factor for it too.
It was my 1960s to me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. The music, I love the music. I don't remember. I seen this, and when I was watching it recently, I was like, I remember these songs, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I couldn't. I was like astounded how memorable the soundtrack was with the background music. It was like 60s jazz almost. It was awesome. I love the music. That was probably my favorite aspect.
And it comes from this era of composition where, musicians were in big bands, always just trying to get their names out any way they could, and they just play these amazing discipline and effort, because you had to be the best, because they didn't have high def sound. That not everything was going to come through on the sound systems of the time. So everything that did come through had to be perfect.
Yeah.
So that's why they're all going ham like they do.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
It's awesome.
They definitely don't half-ass the music at all.
Yeah, You can't upload MIDI trombone to fill out your orchestra for the 1967 Spider-Man soundtrack.
No,
you can't do that. You got to do it all analog.
Expert trombone.
It's real.
Exactly right. And there was no shortage. They were all out there hungry for work.
Yeah, there's a full-out band. It's not just one person.
Yeah.
It's a full-out band. And you can't fake that, especially back then. Now people would just use synths or something like a keyboard, and oh yeah, there's your soundtrack.
Yep.
But now
I think the one set of frames that we're forgetting about the most is when he broke the light pole with the punch.
Yeah.
And you see the whole thing just fall in a steady frame motion. It's just
it looks
instead of
almost
and plop.
It almost looked like the cut stop motion like animation of
Yeah.
South Park at that moment, you know. like it just like
'Cause you
it
can
was
see-
just yeah.
like
just
animation is still so new to the country at that time. You can see they're still figuring out like where can we save frames, where can we save like money, paint, whatever.
I wouldn't say it's new. I mean, like animation was around since like the 20s, so that was 40 years
Like
later.
40 years ago.
Yeah, it's 40.
Just being cheap, damn it.
There
And
was
Maybe it's that.
I mean, they were being cheap. They definitely were because like to compare this,
Animation's
like,
expensive.
yeah, to compare this like the Max Fleischer, like even like Disney, like that came out in the 40s and 30s and all that, and like the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons, like every frame is animated. It's amazing. But this, it looks like it's more ripped out of the comic book, but it's like it almost gives it that comic book feel by how that like static they are with the movements, and actually I feel like it almost like works for this type of medium for Spider-Man. It's like, oh, okay, it's just like almost like reading a comic book, and they kind of move a little bit, like that's all you need. I think the animation was a lot better than I remembered it being. Just like the drawings, like the character designs. That's where it like excels, is the design work. But the animation obviously lackluster. But it's like pretty hyper detailed for what it is. So I think that kind of almost makes up for it. They definitely put in a lot of effort in that aspect.
I had one little problem with the faces. It's when I think it's when what's it called? When Peter Parker finds out Uncle Ben dies and he's like just resting on the cop car.
Yeah.
And you're seeing his face just like bugging out, and like you can see
Yeah.
they're supposed to have a lot of motion, but I just felt like it was just a lot of stagnant face with a lot of eye twitching and moving. And it's more in the voice and in the face that was going on there. And I was just like, this is a little different for me.
There could have been more movement for that part, but like, yeah, I mean, they, like you said, they used it for the web swinging. That's the cool stuff. So that was cool
to
enough.
draw people in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because that must have blown people's minds at the time to be able to look at that and see, wow, this is all drawing. They can do all this.
Yeah, he could swing around with one web across the whole city.
We could never do this live action.
Yeah.
Look where we are.
Yeah, look how far we've come.
Oh my gosh.
Look where
I love how
we
we were
are.
talking about. Oh god, I love how we were talking about like Andrew Garfield's character being like too cool for school and like a little cocky and everything. And this episode, they go from nerd to when he gets superpowers,
Yeah.
he goes
he's
into
a
cocky
dick.
mode.
He completely
He's the cock of the walk.
Oh yeah, he's like, I'm Spider-Man. Yeah, I'm this. Blah,
I
blah,
look
blah.
out for number
The
one.
guy-
I'm looking out for
the
number
guy's
one.
running around. He's like tackle.
He is
Fuck
an
you,
asshole.
man.
Yeah. At least in the Tobey Maguire one, he had a reason not to. Like he was getting.
Yeah, he got
paid
shortchanged.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
this
this
one,
one,
he's
he's
like,
just an
I'm here to talk
asshole
to
for
your
no
guy.
reason. Yeah.
it's true,
I
he
want
just-
to be famous. I want to be a circus performer for your TV show, man. Ah! Fuck that dude. He made it.
Yeah.
A day later. Oh no!
Yeah,
Uncle Ben, no.
Yeah.
I think this is a good introduction though for like kids to like grasp the whole origin story of Spider-Man, what he's about. Like if you show this to a kid, they would like totally get what Spider-Man's all about, like instantaneously. And I think this one's a little less cheesy than the other episodes I remember. I think it like at least has more of the weight of what Spider-Man's about at his heart and his core, and it does show the Uncle Ben side of it. I wish he at least did say his classic line. That would have been nice before he died.
It would have been, but they left it for
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
I thought it was
Yeah.
weird that Spider-Man
Yeah.
said it, but I was like, it's the 60s.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely cut some corners with that. And I guess Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man, did work on the script for this episode, probably like for others as well, but he was uncredited from the information I'm reading on IMDb. So which is interesting. It's cool to see that the creators of the character are at least getting their due diligence with the creation of the cartoon itself. Because a lot of times with comic books, like once they become on the big screen, they like drop off the creators. Like, oh yeah, we don't need you. We got it. So it's nice to have that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any final thoughts or ratings to rate this. I don't even know how to rate this. But
This made me want to watch the old Justice League cartoon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
Super Friends? I never seen Super Friends.
Oh,
That'd be
God.
fun to do
It's
at some point.
definitely a hidden. Like if you've seen it, you know it
It
because
is.
you can't forget it. It's one of those hidden gems
Yeah.
you either know about it or you've never seen it ever.
Yeah,
The
I
invisible
never
jet,
seen it.
man. That's like the best thing.
Easier to draw, easy to animate.
It
It's
is.
just all of them just sitting like an
Ooh.
idiot.
I mean, to compare this to something, well, at least Matt and I talked about in the past, is the Fleischer Superman cartoons. Like those are like a work of art. Like those are amazing, and this is
okay,
you
that's
can't
like
even
the Mona
compare
Lisa.
that. Yeah,
That's like the Mona
exactly.
Lisa. These are just
Of
like
of superhero cartoons.
here and there.
Yeah.
This is like this is your taste.
I
That's what
think
it
we
is.
should
It's almost
let
like a
Matt
Picasso.
do the review and rating first.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh God.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh. Thank you for throwing this at me. It's gonna be my rating just totally set stuff off, but okay. No, I enjoy like this whole episode. I like kind of liked it. The animation to me, I enjoy it, but like you guys say, it's like out of the comic book, so it's like it's just had a different feel than the actual like comic, like any cartoon that's out there. That's like this. Oh, we just came up with this cartoon design. We're just gonna go with this design. Screw it, and just have it in motion. Now they actually take their time trying to edit, design their character properly as a comic book. But there is good music score, like you guys were stating, and like there's some here and there like things with it, like the animation. Like I said, there's the web swinging. It's just freaking amazing. That makes me laugh every time, but it's just gold. But to me, like I kind of wish they kind of like extended Uncle Ben's spot, like you guys were saying, because it just felt like it was a blimp. It was just saying, "Oh, then Uncle Ben dies," and I'm like, "But I didn't enjoy Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben was just barely there. I couldn't absorb him." But whatever. I would enjoy it. It gives me like a good flashback to like older cartoons I used to watch. So I would say I'll give this one like at least for me a 7.
Yeah,
For me,
that's
for
fair.
a 7.
Yeah.
I guess I'll pick up where Matt left
Yeah,
off.
go ahead, Jerry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's definitely like Matt said. This did a lot for me because I remember more of Spider-Man and his amazing friends or his amazing pals, whatever it was. And this is literally like watching not so much a dirtier like color scheme, but it was more in the dark hues of it. Because the other one, it's just bright pops and colors. And this was a fun watch. That's like when we watched Adam West Batman. This is you could show this to a kid and they would never know anything's different. You could say like, "Oh, this is a retro Spider-Man that they're bringing back." And they would be like, "Oh, sweet." And they would be none the wiser. This is the web swinging, definitely the highlight for me, just because I enjoyed the watercolors that they did in the background a lot more, because it was like, oh, so this is like somebody was like, oh, we forgot to put a background up. Quick, call up the nearest watercolor artist we can find.
Yeah.
And boom, there it was. And even some of the other frames where he's climbing on the buildings, jumping around, like he's actually, we're actually seeing the frames where he's doing that. Although he's like a little black stick figure, that's still cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna follow behind Matt. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I strongly would recommend it. It's a fun watch. you're gonna laugh and giggle the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'll follow that up and I'll say, yeah, same deal. It's a fun origin story, classic comic book retelling of the story, an amazing time capsule of the 1960s and what animation was like there. Not sure it holds up super well, at least for me. Same way, someone who grew up on various different Spider-Man cartoons, certainly wouldn't put it as my favorite of the Spider-Man cartoons I watched. So 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. I think we're all going to agree on 7 out of 10. I want to give it an 8 just because it's like my introduction to the nostalgia factor, but I think to be fair, it's closer to an 8 than it is a 6. I'll give it that. What?
I accept that.
It's like this.
Very
Just let you
well.
guys know, it's a close.
But
This goes to 7.5. Damn it!
I don't like the points. I don't like the point system. I don't like doing that. I like one solid number.
Hey man, I didn't like getting graded in high school. Why would I like it? Why would I like doing it to someone else?
I mean, yeah. But like Jerry was saying with the watercolor scheme, I love the backgrounds with that, and it almost gives it that psychedelic 1960s feel as well to it. So like almost like encapsulates the 60s even more just with the background itself. And like I said, this is my introduction to Spider-Man. So this is a great way to introduce a kid to Spider-Man. And I was watching the 90s cartoon. I was like, oh, maybe we could do that. And I didn't really see they didn't have an origin story for Spider-Man. It just starts out with Spider-Man versus the Lizard. So I'm like, oh, let's just go to the origin. We'll just
they just stick that in the intro sequence every episode.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, this is why he's Spider-Man. You're like, got it, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, let's go back. Let's go back to the origin, the baseline.
All the way back.
So this was my introduction to Spider-Man. And I think the reason why I got this VHS tape, because I seen Superman the movie, I seen Batman movies, obviously. And this was probably around 2000. And I was like, oh, I want a Spider-Man movie. Where's the Spider-Man movie? And I remember going to I think it was video treats at the time. And I was with my dad. And I was like, oh, is there a Spider-Man movie I could get? And they were like, oh, well, there's no Spider-Man movie. Here's the cartoon, basically. But they're like, oh, but the Spider-Man is in production right now. So, I was like, oh, okay. It was kind of, cool, interesting of, I was like, oh, I almost, as a kid, I felt like I was, predicting the future. I'm like, why isn't there a Spider-Man movie? I want it now. And then, literally a year later, we got a Spider-Man movie. But I was like, I can't believe that. At the time, as a kid, I was like, I have Superman, I have Batman. Why isn't there a Spider-Man movie already? What the hell,
I was laughing they gave you fucking the Japanese edition of Spider-Man.
That would have been pretty funny. Yeah, no, I'm glad this was my introduction, not the Japanese one. I haven't seen the Japanese one, so I can't really say. But it looks more like Power Rangers.
The clips are hilarious. There's supposedly in that show he has a mecha sword. He has a giant robot he uses.
It's very close to
weird.
Power Rangers.
And his name's not
when
Peter
in
Parker,
Rome.
it's something else. This is just they just went with a Japanese origin name for him because he's in Japan. And I'm just like, all right, I just want to know what the Megazord looks like. I haven't found a photo of it yet. But it just sounds ridiculous having a Spider-Man giant robot thing just running around Tokyo or Japan. Whatever major city they
classic trope.
Classics.
What was Yeah. I mean,
I gotta say
we'll touch that.
What were you gonna say, Josh?
No, I was gonna say maybe we'll do that in the future. The Spider-Man Japanese show.
Good luck.
We could do that in old school Godzilla.
Oh my gosh! I'd rather do
Oh God, I can pick the shittiest one to go with that fucking movie.
No, Matt, you pick enough shitty movies. Pick a good one next time.
We're in that time period. Godzilla had its ups and downs. I'm sorry to say during that time.
God, no. Wait, Jerry, what were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say, Josh. I'm glad you picked this one because I was gonna do like the 2 episodes from like the end of the '90s Spider-Man where they're in like the multiverse battle.
Yeah,
with Madam Web.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, this will be cool. And then me and Crispy started playing Destiny. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to send it. I hope I hope Josh comes through because I kind of forgot.
Yeah, no, I
And the next day later.
well, I thought of that like later on too. I didn't want to do something that was too heavy because like a 2-parter, and plus we have this movie to talk about. So like I was like, this is nice and basic. We can just go to the basics, and then we'll do like a 2-parter 90s cartoon sometime in the future where there's not so much substance. But speaking of that, let's move on to Spider-Man: No Place Like Home. Starring Dorothy from Kansas playing Spider-Man, right? Matt, do you want to take this one?
Let me take this one.
Yeah, Jerry, you have. Take it.
I get saved again.
All right. I just want to start off by saying this is an official spoiler warning for Spider-Man No Place Like Aunt May. And I want to apologize now to the Spider-Man, to Peter Parker fans, because I'm about to be a harsh critic. I'm terribly sorry, but I'm not, because this has to be said. So,
oh God,
as we all know, this is Tom Holland's 3rd movie for his series, which we finally got after Tobey Maguire, not Mick Guire. I don't know why I said that. And this is still following up from Far From Home. His secret identity has been revealed to the world. His friends, his beautiful Aunt May, everybody's just in like, what? And so, he's trying to get in, college. He's trying to get in MIT. He's just trying to figure out like, oh, what can I do to just still live a normal life and, deal with all the haters saying, Mysterio was right and I'm not this killer or whatever he portrayed me as. So he goes to the Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Strange, and he's like, hey, Doc, I got a question. Can you make it so people forget that I'm Spider-Man? And he's like, sure, kid. We saved the world together. I can do you I'll do you a solid. It's a cool favor. And then he acts like a kid and he's like, well, hold on, wait. I want my Aunt May to remember. I want my girlfriend to remember. I want my best friend to remember. And I want Happy to remember. He's like, kid, you're starting to piss me off. Shut up or you're going to make me, screw things up. And then he kept changing the parameters of the spell and boom. He forced I'm going to just call it a split in the fabric of the universe. And all of the Spider-Man villains started pouring into Tom Holland's universe. And so he was, Dr. Strange finally asked him, like, what was the point of all this? He was like, oh, well, my friends couldn't get into MIT and I couldn't. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just use magic to, make them forget. And he's like, did you try picking up a phone, you imbecile? He's like,
you fucking millennial.
Yeah, he was like, that's an option. He's like, of course that's an option. You're Spider-Man. Use your stardom to your advantage. And he was like, oh. And so he's, rushing around trying to talk to I think it was the dean of admissions or something along those lines.
Head of admissions, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And, she's stuck in traffic on the way to the airport. He's, swinging around doing stuff. People still throwing bricks at him. And he's, got the nano suit and he, it goes back to the nano thing and he knocks on the window and talks to her. And then as she starts talking, boom, it's an explosion. We see Dr. Octavius, come out and he's like, Peter Parker. And he's like, hold on, I'll be right back. They have a brief fight. And Doc Ock's like, you're not Peter Parker. What's going on here? And Tom Holland's also confused because he's like, I am Peter Parker. I'm just not your Peter Parker. And he's just like, it's like those KGB commercials. He's having a brain fart. He's like, what you're saying makes sense, but it's not connecting. And then after they have their brief tussle, Spider-Man uses his nanotech to control the extra arms of Doc Ock to contain him and prevent him from doing more damage. And then we see the bomb drop, literally. We hear the laugh, and there's Green Goblin there for a hot second and gone. And it just kind of continues on. We see Peter Parker talk to a lawyer who is blind, who is Daredevil. Daredevil's coming to MCU.
Charlie Cox is Daredevil.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doctor Strange is like, okay, kid, here's the deal. All these guys who know who Peter Parker is are here looking for you. So you have to, and he gives him a magic web-slinger to like send them back. And he's like, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to find these guys. I'm going to send them back to their universe, and we're going to forget this ever happened, and don't ever ask me for another favor. He's like, okay, I can do that. So he finds Electro. He finds the Lizard. He stumbles upon Norman Osborn when he's going through his psychosis of switching between Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. And so he has the idea like, okay, got everybody here. What are we going to do? He's like, cool. I'm going to press the button on this magic cube, send them back to their universe to die, and let the world be as it should. And he's like, I don't want to let anybody die. And he's like, it's their fate. They're, the death of one will save many, or, the whole multiverse time travel weird thing. Don't step on a butterfly.
Yep.
And so Doctor Strange and Tom Holland have a tussle. He gets stuck in the mirror dimension, which is just a huge geometry. What you think it? I'm not good with math. I hate math. And so he's stuck there over the Arizona desert. And so Tom Holland is like, you know what? Let me try to rehabilitate these guys because that's the right thing to do. And so he starts the process, but it backfires on him. He does cure Doc Ock of the control of his extra limbs, and he starts curing Jamie Foxx from the electricity buildup inside of him. But William Dafoe, I don't care what anybody says, he is the best Marvel villain because he showed, like, even in another universe, Green Goblin is not to be trifled with. He was beating the brakes off of Tom Holland. And he showed him, like, you ain't shit as the Spider-Man, kid. My Spider-Man is way tougher than you are. And so they fight, and the whole building is just rubble at this point from all the damage. And Aunt May suffers some major damage, and she dies. And she says the infamous line, with great power comes great responsibility. Blaming himself like, this is my fault. I should have just killed him. I should have just let it happen. I should have, he's just going through this whole moral battle of what he should have done and what he needs to do. And then his best friend, Ned, using Doctor Strange's portal ring, he summons up Andrew Garfield. And Zendaya and Ned are like, MJ. I'm sorry, her name is MJ. MJ and Ned are like, who are you? And they're like, I'm Spider-Man. I'm Peter Parker. They're like, no, you're not. And he's like, okay. So he sticks to the ceiling, proving he's Spider-Man. And so then he tries to find Tom Holland again, but this time comes in the best Spider-Man, in my opinion, the OG, Tobey Maguire. And he's just there, just like in the old movies. He's very awkward and very shy, quiet, reserved. He's like, I'm looking for your best friend. Do you have any idea where he might go for a thinking spot where he can be alone with his thoughts? Because he instinctively knows what's happening. And so they get there. He explains, like, we've all been in your shoes. This is a tough call, kid, but he essentially tells him, you got to kind of suck it up and deal with your own consequences. So then the three Spider-Men work on curing each of their respective villains and sending them back home. And then they have, some small quips, small talk, and then comes the big battle with everyone. So they cure most everyone. No, they do cure everyone. The Lizard, Dr. Connor gets cured. Sandman's cured. Jamie Foxx is cured of his electricity, and Willem Dafoe is cured of his psychosis as Green Goblin. And, it was a lot of really nice stuff that they did because, the interactions between Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, respectively, where, what do you mean? You're an amazing Spider-Man. You're amazing, man. You should feel amazing.
I love that. You're amazing. Can I just say that?
And then, they all just ask Tobey Maguire the infamous question, how do you just naturally have web shooters? He's like, I never thought of it. This just kind of happens. And then they asked him, like, have you ever had web block? And he's like, and can you shoot it from anywhere else? And he's just like, I'd rather not answer that. And so things keep progressing. It's a very chaotic fight because they're trying to cure them as they're fighting. And Andrew Garfield Spider-Man has a repeat of when Gwen Stacy died of like, I have to save his MJ to redeem myself. And so he was like, MJ was like, you okay? And he's just like, yeah, I'm good. And so then after everyone's cured, it's the fight between Willem Dafoe and Tom Holland. And he's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fucking break your neck. And he's like, do it, chump. And so, Tom Holland gets some good blows in, but you don't mess with Green Goblin. He's not to be trifled with. And even when, Tom Holland has him right in the precipice of death, Tobey Maguire's like, stop. This isn't what you want to do. I've been down this route. It's a dangerous and slippery slope. And then bang. Well, not bang, but slice. Tobey Maguire gets, critically injured, and he's just collapsing. He's not dead, thank God. And so then Andrew Garfield tosses him the serum to fix him, and he hits him in the neck, and he's like, what have I done? And then, the multiverse is now opening even more, and we see more classic Spider-Man villain trying to come in. And then Tom Holland's just like, you know what, Doc? Make everybody forget about me. And he's like, everyone? He's like, everyone. This will protect us all and save everything. And so Doctor Strange wipes the whole world's memory of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He's basically a ghost in the machine now. So he bids farewell to his girlfriend. He tries to reconnect, but he's like, you know what? I'm just going to leave things be. And it continues on even to where he's in his one-bedroom apartment with all his stuff. He's got a GED book because obviously he's no longer in school. And he sews his own suit because, he doesn't have access to Stark Tech anymore. And he's just now the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And do we want to, Josh, do you want to save the two scenes for after we all go, or you want to include them now?
Oh, you mean the ending?
Post-credit scenes?
I guess we could talk about them. The second one was just a trailer.
It was just a trailer. Yeah. We can save the one that was the trailer. Yeah. It's not relevant just yet.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So the first post-credit scene, we see Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock getting drunk in a bar, talking to this bartender gentleman, and he's like, so you mean to tell me you got this superhero swinging around his name Spider-Man? And he's talking to Venom. He's like, yes, we're drunk. Let's go skinny dipping. And then we see him in a flash, just poof, back to his universe. And the gentleman's like, he's gone and didn't pay for his tab again. And so he was obviously frustrated. So he takes the glass and starts walking off. But we see part of Venom's symbiote still remain there. And then that's where the first one ends. And then the second, I guess you could call it, it's not really a scene. So then the second thing that happened after all the credits was a trailer for Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness, which has me very excited because I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan. I love the first movie.
I didn't see the first Doctor Strange, but I'm more excited because Sam Raimi is directing it. That's why I'm mostly excited for it. If you don't know, Sam Raimi is the person who directed the first 2 Spider-Man movies, the Tobey Maguire movies. So that's why I'm excited for that. And I am hoping Bruce Campbell is in there. Somewhere.
All I need is that Bruce Campbell cameo, and I'll be happy. I'll call it a hit.
Exactly. I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
So then we can claim Bruce Campbell was a multi-universe character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Mysterio. The first.
So while I catch my breath, I would like for our guest host, Connor, to pick up on my coattails while I refresh myself.
Sure. So like I was saying earlier when we were talking about the BSBS, I'm trying to tune down my expectations when it comes to superhero movies. I just want to focus on having fun. And this movie in particular was a big reminder of that because it brought me all the way back to 2002, the original Spider-Man movies, my introduction to like superhero movies in general. Those were my first superhero movies. I loved the hell out of them as a kid. They were everything. We'd never seen anything like them before. They didn't have like formula or rules or standards to hit. That movie was all over the place. It was graphic. It was edgy. It was corny. It was camp at times. It was all of those things. So, and I find myself longing more and more for superhero movies to return to that sort of like whimsical, not really caring, just trying to have a good time on the screen. We got a little taste of that with Shazam. I think you guys might agree with me on that one. Shazam,
I can agree.
It broke formula and had a lot of fun with it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think I can get back into that mindset. I can enjoy movies like that again. And so that was my first thought going into this movie because it put Tobey Maguire back in my face and reminded me why I loved superhero movies from the start because they separate me from reality. They make me not have to turn on my logical brain for a while. They just let your heart lead. That hope, that inspiration that heroes of mythos have always given us. And so I walked into that movie ready to have a good time, and I loved what they did. First of all, the way they teed up the whole multiverse fractal thing, I was worried about that, but the idea that Peter's life was destroyed because he's now the most famous person in the world and his friends' lives are destroyed. They can't, pursue their dreams. I can see why he would feel justified to change the very rules of his universe to do that for the people that he cares about. Like MJ said, that's who he is. And I was also really impressed with the way they introduced all of the multiverse villains. They gave them proper MCU introductions. So people who might not have seen the 2002 or 2014 Spider-Man movies can get caught up to speed pretty quickly. Like, your classic MCU things. They had, shorter touches on their origin story. They sort of had to fill in the background for each other, the ones that were from the same universe. But if you didn't see those movies, you could still connect with these characters, with these villains. They still felt like MCU villains. And so we moved, So already, like, I'm having a good nostalgia blast. It's not too pandering, They're easing them in. They're easing them into that side of the pool, and they're swimming pretty well. And like you said, Willem Dafoe, to see him back on the screen playing the Goblin again, steals the show. He has not lost a step. He's still got it. And he really is a fantastic villain. He's so good at scaring you and like keeping you interested. And also you're like, oh man, that's kind of cool too. He checks all the boxes. He's the perfect Green Goblin. And that fight scene between them was brutal, like 2002 level brutal. That was like Spider-Man and Green Goblin back up on the rooftop impaling each other with the glider brutal. And we got a little bit of that. Aunt May's death was absolutely devastating. I cried the first time I saw it. I did. And like we've only had Marissa Tomei over 2 movies before this. I didn't really think I was going to connect to her Aunt May so much. Because at this point, Aunt May to me is just, a device for Peter Parker's character development. But it did. I felt it. And especially when she gave him the "with great power comes great responsibility" line. That was a big part of it. And then the way they introduced the 2 other Peter Parkers. They were having fun with it. They were making references to the old movies. They were making it fit. that like really well done. They you can tell they took their time with the writing. They made it feel good. They made it feel good. And both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were really excited to step back into their roles. They filled out their characters really well. Yeah. Even though I and some of us here weren't a fan of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, he still played that Spider-Man. He played the Peter Parker you'd remember from the Amazing Spider-Man movies. He was stuttery. He was swaggering around, all that stuff. He was, he's the no filter Spider-Man, and that showed up a lot. And I think they were kind of aware that he was sort of the lamest of the three Spider-Man, because he kind of took a back seat to like the Tobey Maguire Tom Holland dynamic, especially in that last scene in the fight where it's sort of like the first Spider-Man trying to save the last Spider-Man's soul, stuff like that. And what else did I want to say about this? I just love the way they introduced the villains. The villains fit in seamlessly. All the villains gave most of the villains gave a bang-up job, although I found out recently, and I don't know if you know this, Sandman and the Lizard, Thomas Hayden Church, and Rhys Ifans, they actually didn't do their own voice work in this movie. It was some combination of pre-recorded stuff, like old images from old movies. That's why Sandman and Lizard were in their sand and lizard forms for most of the movies, because the actors weren't going to be in it. But I didn't even notice that until that was pointed out to me.
I noticed they were kind of off.
I noticed some of them, like Josh said, some of the movements were kind of clunky, I guess would be the right word.
When they animated
exactly.
Sandman, he looked more like Vin Diesel than his actual actor.
Yeah, featureless stand face.
Yeah, so it felt like he had more features in the actual 3 more than this one.
Mm.
Wait, so why weren't they in the movie? Did they just not want them, or?
Yeah, they just didn't want to reprise those roles. I think both of them are both. Church and
actors just didn't want to be in the movie. Is that why?
I know Thomas Hayden Church has been retired for a number of years. I don't know what Rhys Ifans' deal is, but it could just be maybe scheduling conflicts. But they still got credited. They were paid for their likeness, so they still got to be in the movie.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
But the way the movie wraps up, because this is the last movie that's Marvel is allowed to make in conjunction with the deal they made with Sony. So the future of Spider-Man in the MCU is a little uncertain right now. And they do a good job of sort of taking Spider-Man off the table as a major player in the MCU in a tasteful way. He sews that old suit up because he's not dabbling with the Starks and the Rogers of the MCU anymore. He's back on the street. He's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And if we don't get more movies with Spider-Man in the future, maybe we'll just always know he's there out in the neighborhood, just being Spider-Man like he always wanted to be. But who knows? Maybe he'll find a way back. Maybe he'll undo the damage from the multiverse if the deals go well. So they put themselves in a good spot to go either way with that. And I really enjoyed that ending.
He's finally at Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels like he really becomes Spider-Man right there.
Yeah. He's
Spider-Man as we've always known him.
He doesn't have Daddy Stark to give him all this tech. He doesn't have all this money. He's in a dungy apartment and he makes his costume.
He's all alone. Poor Peter Parker.
Yeah,
all alone
in the Bronx.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He sews his suit together like classic Spider-Man would.
One
Josh,
fucking
Crispy,
video.
Would you guys like to go?
One video.
You guys have anything you guys want to say, or would you like for me to go?
I set Mateo off about side talk. I apologize.
Yeah.
God damn. Oh God.
Go ahead.
You want to go or me?
You go.
Okay, so I saw this twice, like how Connor said he saw it twice. I enjoyed both times. I see a little here and there, different little things. that they did with the movie. Like I didn't see in the first movie. Sad thing is, first time when I was gonna go see it, I was already spoiled about Aunt May. Thanks to my brother, because he watched it on Reddit and he was pissed off because I took a picture. Jerry saw it of on his birthday. He passed out, and I sent it to our friend Billy and Jerry here, and he was annoyed that I took the picture, so he spoiled the movie to me. So fuck Nick on that one because of pity bullshit. But I enjoyed it. I like that they brought in all these old villains into the movie, but I really did not want them to bring back Lizard. So I hated that Lizard. I really fucking hated him.
Can I just say, there are parts in the movie where I forgot Lizard was in the movie. Like when they're all getting teleported back to their universes, I'm like, who's that? Oh, right, Dr. Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was such a no fuck. It was not even like a thing. Like,
it's such a no fuck.
He's just like, no, he was just like there and here, and like in the trailers, I felt like maybe we're gonna get like a promising Lizard that he's gonna look even cooler or be voiced by like being a different actor and everything. He's gonna be like from a different universe. But no, they had to pick the amazing Spider-Man universe.
They should have got the original Dr. Connors from the Tobey Maguire universe, and he's just
that would have been sweet.
Oh yeah,
that would have been dope if they brought him back and like or brought somebody similar style into the universe.
They should have brought Topher Grace's Venom.
No. Look, there are some things that no amount of nostalgia lenses will ever make look good.
No.
But some things belong in the past.
It just doesn't like. That was my biggest nitpick of the movie. Is really that lizard creature. I hate him from the movie. I'm still gonna hate him now. I was hoping they're gonna do some minor tweaks to him, make him look a little cooler. They kind of gave him more of like a cooler texture to him. And that's really it. He still just didn't feel like he was like a real villain. Sad thing is, one of my favorite villains in Spider-Man is the Lizard. So it makes me more depressed with this Lizard even more at the time. But I liked how they actually showed these characters, these villains actually develop their costumes more in this movie than what they just show up in, because they actually give you everyone upgrades. It doesn't just stay as is. Only Doc Ock still stays a little bit of the same because his sanity slapped in place. Yeah, Peter does his upgrade and makes him sane again. Sandman doesn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm fucking sand. I just changed in the fucking object. I don't need to change my style.
I'm fucking sand.
I wish she said that from the movie. Yeah, that would have been great.
And
I wish she said that.
Freaking what's it called? And Lizard's just Lizard. He's just scaly and running around and trying to eat kids. But what?
I don't remember him trying to eat kids specifically, but
what are you talking about when he went back and went after Mary Jane and Ned? He's trying to eat those kids.
And they were applying to college. They were not kids anymore.
He snorts your dog.
But fine, I give you that. It's a technicality. Whatever.
Matt, he snorts your dogs.
Yeah. What?
He snorts your dogs.
He does snort dogs. It's a fucking hobby. He goes, I'm snorting, and he goes after people. I really hate the fucking Lizard. I really do. I just hate him with this movie. This movie setups. But going down more, I enjoyed the revealing of the Spider-Mans. I like how Tobey Maguire is still the same Tobey Maguire where we left him as. He's just awkward, like how Josh said. He's awkward, nerdy, and just as is. And he's a youth pastor style look to him.
That was a great line.
I love that part.
You go to battle dressed as a cool youth pastor.
But Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I feel like they changed him a little bit. I think I enjoyed him more in this movie. I'm still gonna say his two movies are shit. In this movie, they amped him up. And they gave him a better lines and better direction of where he should go with Spider-Man.
He had a better script.
Yes.
So that's why.
And where he went, he felt like he was more downsized to where he was in his movies, where he was like, I'm with the cool guy. And this one, he's like, I'm a nerdy guy, but I'm a loser, but I fucked my life up. I fucked a lot of things up. So he's debating with a lot of things in his head, and you can see at some points in the movie where he doesn't always have confidence in himself thanks to his past issues and all that stuff. And I love that like they did that to him, that they kind of like gave him this new persona and style instead of just leaving him with this cool cat setup. Because they could have zapped him in at the same time as Electro got zapped in, and he could have not had Gwen Stacy die. He could have been just still as him. No, they zapped him in when he's like a year, or maybe a few months or a year into after Gwen Stacy's passing, and where he's just fucking everything up. And
they could have brought Gwen Stacy.
They didn't need they don't know Gwen Stacy yet.
No,
is there even a Gwen Stacy in the MCU?
We don't know yet.
Is there even an Uncle Ben in the MCU? Like, what the fuck is that?
Well, there was.
Is there?
Maybe they don't talk about Uncle Ben at all in the movie.
Because we've done Uncle Ben. Remember, that's what they did. That's what they did in the MCU. They skipped everything we already knew about Spider-Man. You already knew about Uncle Ben. We're done with that.
They should at least
have
I
want my Uncle Ben. Universe. Like a photo of him or something.
I mean, who wants to be the guy who's like, oh great, I'm the third guy who's been cast as this role.
I
do. You know, like,
I would be, especially being Marissa Tomei's fucking ex-husband. Fuck yeah, I'd be fucking
yeah.
Okay, sure.
I had
okay, sure. Like schmucks like us would be excited for that role. Yeah, but you're not going to get another like John Boyd or who played Uncle Ben in the 2000 movies.
Happy.
Oh,
Lou Gehrig.
Shit.
Yeah, it was Lou Gehrig.
Fucking Sheen, Martin Sheen.
No. That was I thought that was
the Amazing
Spider-Man
movies.
Oh,
yeah.
what are you talking about? What were you asking?
He's talking about
like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Thanks, Josh. Connor, you look that up while we're doing what's going on.
Already on IMDb, in fact.
Awesome. So
Cliff Robertson.
Yeah. There we go.
Sure.
They could have got Charlie Sheen.
What? Jesus Christ. No, but yeah, I enjoyed the interaction with the Spider-Man. Like I said, with finishing up Andrew Garfield stuff. I love how he catches Mary Jane and everything.
Redeems himself.
He redeems himself and has this moment. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's good. We got a little closure for the fucking character. And let's keep going on. Maybe that's going to help him further in the storyline. If they do give him a third movie, he'll probably have a new change of life.
People are discussing it.
So, but later on with them, just all three Spider-Man in a room together properly, I enjoy that a lot. But when they're talking about Tobey Maguire's web shooting, and they said, does it come out anywhere else? It makes me have a flashback to the Kids' Choice Awards, Jack Black.
Oh, Jack Black one.
Bullshit.
Oh my god, he
shoots web. He shoots web out of his fucking everywhere he wanted because he could for some reason.
That's what we laughed at back then. We were kids. We were kids.
Hey man, I'm just gonna say, yeah,
Danga.
We were kids, but it was fucking hilarious. But it was a great adventure. I was a little sad when Aunt May died, but I wasn't gonna be like, I wasn't superly attached to this Aunt May because like,
yeah, I wasn't either.
She what?
I wasn't either. I agree with you.
I didn't know I was, but I was apparently.
I enjoyed her. I liked how she like did things and like had things going, but it wasn't like a real connection because like how often were they together, or was there like a real moment where Peter Parker was like overly like, yay, and she used Spider-Man. She used him for all of her events. It wasn't like what was happening. It was kind of like it's up in the air with me. I enjoy her, but like at the same time, it's like I don't have a real.
There wasn't enough presence from her.
Yeah,
I mean, like like the most you get out of her throughout the MCU is like, oh, she's Marissa Tomei, she's hot, and then that's fucking it.
Yeah,
That's like
That's a
basically
little reductive.
that's like the number one thing, and then you get the underlining. Oh, she's Aunt May, and she's like the support
Yeah.
system of
Yeah.
Peter Parker. But the number one thing that she hits is, oh, she's hot, she's Marissa Tomei, and then all the other stuff, it's like second nature. It's like secondhand. It's like in the background. So I agree. I 100% agree with you. I don't think she was a bad Aunt May. I just wish she had more. Like there was a little bit more of a presence with that. Like, what is she? She has like a helping shelter or something like that. Though
she's
Yeah.
shelters and
Like
I
Aunt May
wish-
from the video game.
Yeah, I wish that was like a little more dived in, like that had more of a presence in like how Peter Parker
like
aspect of like viewpoint was like structured with the
like if
help
Peter
with
hung
the
out with her for
shelter.
a few times helping her, and like literally right after Endgame, like it was literally she's using him. Oh, here's Spider-Man, guys. Let's make money for the people that are homeless and all that stuff. Like now you're just using your nephew that you really felt like you guys didn't have the connection at all throughout all this series.
They had a
He's
connection.
Eagle Guardian. It's a big connection.
They did. They had a
There's
connection.
but like it just didn't feel right. Like it didn't feel like 100% there.
I agree.
Like I was saying,
I feel like there's some gaps. That
It wasn't
could've
like
been filled.
like if Peter Parker like was helping out every once in a while, we get like a cutscene of him doing something, or there's a deleted scene of him doing stuff. That would make more sense than like every like instead of her now instead of in the second movie using him or doing other shit with him like as just Spider-Man, not Peter as Spider-Man.
When she died, I was a little more confused than anything. I was like, wait, is she dead? Oh wait, she's alive. Oh, she's dead.
No, she's dead.
I was like,
That was a real roller coaster. It really was.
I was more confused than anything. I didn't really
Her
feel.
face.
I was a little.
I
sad,
I laughed at it.
Yeah, it was like kind of awkward.
I laughed. I'm sorry
It was.
because her face.
It wasn't awkward.
It's in their face because she's like twitching and like doing this like congesting look. I'm like, I get it. She fucking got fucked up. Like technically, she should not get up from that. Her spine should have been snapped. She should have been
That's
fucked
what
over.
threw me
Like,
off. I was so confused by it because
like is Aunt May is superhuman? Like I don't know. Like I get it in Joan Rush and all that stuff, but like the way she got hit was not like she's getting back up move. Like
yeah, I thought they were just gonna do the Green Goblin like stabbing with the glider like they did with the first movie, but she didn't get stabbed. So it's like, oh, she didn't get stabbed, so she's alive. They didn't use blades, but she died.
Trauma.
It was more confusing than anything for me.
Yeah.
At least it was just like Connor was saying, a roller coaster of emotion, but like it was like. I think it was a roller coaster of emotions for me that was not what they intended for me to feel. I was just more confused.
Oh, shit. I wanted to oh shit. Then when she gets back up again, I started laughing with all this other additional bullshit.
If she was like dying immediately, I think it would have made more sense instead of her standing.
If she was like they did the slowly dying thing instead of the get up.
Yeah,
and Peter's trying to help her and realizes she's bleeding.
Just like pulling it off,
like
I'm fine on the ground. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they wasted the tear shot. The tear shot came too late. I'm not gonna lie, that came really fucking late. There's a tear shot. They have to pan back after Spider-Man gets the fuck out of there. Happy gets arrested and just goes back to her, and it's just her, and you get a tear shot. Just goes down her face. I'm like. Aunt May, you still alive, you bitch? Talk to Peter.
Oh my god! It was a little much. Where at that moment too, like Happy ends up being there at that exact moment, and he.
How did you know her? Well, I mean, I imagine that involves some planning on Peter's part.
What, Happy being there?
No,
I'm sure Peter was probably keeping tabs on Happy, and this is his way of getting as close to him as he possibly can in a post-Peter Parker world.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when he drove up and like witnessed.
He drove up to the house.
Well, I mean,
I think that's just I think that was a Happy thing. Now, Happy just like was driving home. I got groceries, and then he's like, "I'm gonna make Aunt May a stew or some shit." And then oh fuck, what's happening at my apartment? Drives up because he has to be a hero.
I wish that line of dialogue was said while he was driving. Oh shit, what's happening at my apartment? And then he drove up. Then I would have completely gave that scene a pass. So
that did happen. Remember, there's that scene. He's in the car. He calls Peter Parker. He's like, "Oh, hey, I just saw the camera, and you just walked 5 supervillains into my living room. What's going on?"
Oh, that's true. That's true.
He did do that.
Very true. He did do that.
That's true. I mean, he drove in front of like that whole SWAT team. I guess like he's.
Yeah, that was bold. He forgets that Iron Man isn't around to back him up anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
so it was. I mean, I guess it was like a little too convenient, but whatever. It was fine, I guess. It was like the scene was a little more confusing than anything for me, at least. Yeah, it seems like Jerry has a lot to say, so I don't want to hold him back.
Yeah, it feels like let me just finish up here quick.
Take your time. This has been brewing since I watched the movie.
So I've been like, let me just get to the end part with them going through the whole. I kind of like how with the ending fight scene actually that's happening where they can't work all together until they realize they have to. I kind of enjoy that because
that was good.
The only one that knows how to work as a team is literally Tom Holland's character, Spider-Man. Yeah. All the other ones did not have a team. Tobey Maguire did have one little team up that was basically nothing.
Oh,
it was in the third movie.
New Goblin,
was barely anything.
Whatever.
Yeah, the new Goblin. But like that was barely anything. And then and Andrew Garfield's bullshit was like, I couldn't. I had nobody. No one. Like if I had somebody, I would have a girlfriend. That's basically how he was. But like I enjoy that they had to learn to work together and actually enjoy to deal with what solutions they have to go with these villains. And they have Tom and I did like how Tom Holland had to use Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's information with these villains because he hasn't fought them. They're new to him. They're nothing he fought had to fight ever in his life. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to state this. I'm glad they used original Green Goblin because I haven't got to say this. I should have said this earlier, but I'm glad they used original Green Goblin and the fucking Amazing Spider-Man bullshit they added into the second movie. That was ugly as fuck.
Willem Dafoe is iconic. Yeah, of course. That was going to be the Goblin they went with.
I loved his action scenes and everything. And I love how they made him more weaponized and stuff so he can actually continue on with what he was doing. And I saw an early photo of him. Not a photo, it was like a concept art, drawing. And I was like, oh, that's just concept art? Or they fucking just said, that's a fan art that they made up. And it was freaking actually on point of basically what he was wearing. It's just minus the forearm gear.
Yeah.
That was basically it. It was minus that stuff that he had. And I'm like, that would be dope if they use it. And if it wasn't actually Tobey Maguire's Goblin, it was a different universe or some sort. Was post-apocalyptic or some weird shit's happening, and he's just like, "This is me now" style. Instead of what we got in the movie where he breaks the fucking helmet, and he's like to get rid of that Green Goblin identity, but it really doesn't go away. And he just ends up just getting goggles later and going on. But I enjoy that they kind of made him more weaponized, and the forearm blade coming out. He's predatoring people's asses now.
He was.
It was awesome, and we didn't really, like I said, I feel like we didn't see a superhuman side to him, using superhero strength in the original movies. To me, I think we got maybe a couple here and there parts.
When he
but when I got to see what.
When he threw his partner across Oscorp, that was pretty sick.
Yeah, that's
back to formula.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was but we haven't seen in full full setup. In this movie, just seeing him using superhero strength is just awesome. Yeah. I have to say, him Batista bombing Tom Holland through the floor is fucking awesome, and the back to the apartment fight. But him doing other stuff and fighting during the Statue of Liberty fight, it was pretty dope.
Yeah, with Captain America's shield.
Oh my god! I kind of wish they didn't do that. I kind of wish. That was cringy for me to see that.
But he saved the universe.
It was on the
line.
line. It was on the line. I get it. It was like, yeah, it was in the universe of the Marvel.
That's what they would do.
So, like,
yeah, but
like,
in my head, it's like, yo, he saved this, but don't touch history. Just leave it alone.
They should have just made a Steve Rogers mini statue next to the Statue of Liberty that's like this big.
Would have been more tasteful, I guess.
Yeah, he's looking up at her.
Yeah, he's looking under her skirt. That would have been more tasteful.
I wasn't saying that.
I don't think you would have sanctioned that.
Peggy would have had some things to say.
Yeah.
Okay, I know you do. So, Josh, do you have something quick, or Jerry just let Jerry go?
Jerry can go. I have some stuff to say, but I don't know. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay.
I made this very clear last episode. I am not a Spider-Man fan. I think he's cool. I'm not a fan. He's not he's not in my top 5 favorite Marvel heroes. I'm going to say what I liked before the things that I had issues with. Number 1, James Jonah Jameson.
Oh, yeah.
The number 1 hater is back. And he still brought the exact same motifs from all 3 Spider-Man movies. He still was Parker. Peter Parker is a public menace. Spider-Man is a murderer. I'm so glad that they used him as much as they did.
When they made that look like InfoWars, I died laughing. That was so great.
When they gave him his own green screen to just make his own web news broadcast, I was cracking up. I love that to pieces. I like that they also made a good use of the supporting villain cast, because you can see that they're trying to connect with the humanity within each of them. I don't have to speak on Willem Dafoe. I said it before, I'll say it again. Willem Dafoe is the best MCU villain to date. I don't care what you have to say. We can debate for hours on it. I know we've all said it. I'm glad that Andrew Garfield got his redemption and he had a better script and cast to work with all around. And I think that's what made a lot of fans start appreciating him more, because in a nutshell, he did kind of get worked over because he had some classic Spider-Man villains, but they kind of squandered the true potential that they had. And it was cool. We got Jamie Foxx again, and his infamous line when after he finished being a pure energy being, like, so y'all just gonna pretend like I'm not standing here butt ass naked.
I am.
That was I thought that was great. I'm a huge Jamie Foxx fan, so I'm glad that he had a more serious take in all of this. Even when they were trying to rehabilitate him, he's like, man, this don't feel right. I don't know about this, because you could see he was very distrusting in Tom Holland's words of, I want to genuinely help you, and I mean ill will.
Because he had been burned by Spider-Man before in his universe.
Mm-hmm. And then due to his work in the original his universe, he was just his colleagues just used him. They didn't really do anything else with him. Everyone else just fucked him over for his work. And it's like, I can see why.
I'm glad that they left James Franco out of this.
Yeah.
James Franco was a horrible Hobgoblin.
At least they mention him, kind of.
I'm very glad that they did not disrespect me as not a Marvel fan, but as a film goer, because I would have been in there pissed. I would find the address of the person who directed this and mail them cow shit. I really hated James Franco as Hobgoblin that much.
What was his new Goblin?
I like James.
Yeah, that movie was just...
I like
Yeah.
James Franco as Harry Osborn. I think he did a great job as.
Yeah, he did a good Harry Osborn. I love that, but Hobgoblin.
It wasn't even Hobgoblin. It was the new Goblin. It was like
New
stupid.
Goblin.
It
It
was
wasn't
nothing.
any-
We
Anything.
all know that Harry Osborn's Hobgoblin. I don't care
Yeah.
No,
what
he's
they try.
fake.
To
We all
spoon
called.
feed
I
me.
called him Hobgoblin back in the day too.
I
I don't care what they try to spoon feed us.
I know what I saw up there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go off of this. I would say that if they did add James Franco to it, I would like it because was it Norman
Yeah, I
went back to his old house he stayed, and he found what's it called?
Oscorp
He
doesn't
didn't
exist.
find he doesn't like have everything exist. I was hoping that he kind of like ran into somebody that looked like Harry, meaning it was James
Mhm.
Franco, but like he doesn't even know who he's like I'm not Harry. I'm someone else. To fuck him up more. I'm like, I want to see if they tried something like delete his scene stuff or some crazy, like weird shit with that. Like, I kind of want to see his reactions as more him freaking out than what we did.
I think there's enough with the Tobey Maguire universe with
Yeah.
the Green Goblin and Dr. Octavius, and I liked how Dr. Octavius became like he was the most like on the cusp of being like a good guy throughout
Mhm.
the Tobey Maguire universe, and I liked how he was like the first one to kind of like change and become like an ally to the Spider-Man crew. That like made sense to his character, even with the Tobey Maguire universe. The villains themselves, like in the beginning, they seem like cartoon caricatures of what they were, and once the Spider-Man came, like the other Spider-Mans came to the movie, it seemed more like they were respecting the other source materials, like the other movie franchises, and then like
So
in the
much
beginning
more.
they were just like more making it a joke, like, oh, you see these villains, like, aren't they weird? Isn't his name stupid? He's an octopus, like I was like, okay, all right, I get it. I mean, you're still Spider-Man too, so like you're stupid too. So like I don't know what you have.
Mhm.
Like you have more credibility, I guess.
It's
like,
all weird.
It's all
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, it's all dumb, So like that's why I was like, okay, like I wasn't
Same.
like it didn't. It gave me like a slight bad taste in my mouth. I wasn't like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. But like, that was kind of odd. And then like it was much more respectable once the two Spider-Man came into frame. And to continue off what Jerry was saying in the beginning with the Andrew Garfield universe, as long as they give Andrew Garfield a better director and better villains and a better story, I would actually be very inclined to see what he does with the character, because I thought he was a decent Spider-Man. I don't think he was the worst thing, and I thought he was actually the best. One of the best aspects of this movie, because he had a lot of heart, he had a lot of depth, and it was like very cool that he was the one who redeemed himself, like Matt was saying, that he caught MJ at the end of the movie, and like there's so much emotion, a lot is going on with his character and like his acting portrayal, that like I think he has a lot to build up upon that. And he was like definitely the darkest Spider-Man, because he had he lost the most out of the whole Spider-Man trio, I guess. And
I was
it
going to
was,
say that next.
yeah, it was. I thought it was very respectable that like he was the one who saved MJ, and I thought it was like a nice like cap to his character arc. And he was like even the one saying to Tom Holland Spider-Man, "You don't want to go in this dark path. You don't want to become Batman, because I became Batman. Look at me, I failed." So
Yeah.
In those
So-
words.
yeah, he
In those
said that.
exact
He
words.
said that verbatim, and I think he has a lot to build up upon his character. If it like he was in the Venom gonna go get him universe, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be
Those
mad
lyrics
at that.
from the Eminem song.
yeah. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. But I don't know. Like, I think he has a lot to build upon his character. I thought he almost redeemed his Spider-Man and I think he actually Andrew Garfield gave it more energy and more of an attempt than Tobey Maguire did. I mean, Tobey Maguire is like at least older, like, so I give him a little pass on that respect, but he didn't really seem like he was putting a lot of energy into his performance. Like, it seemed like Andrew Garfield was putting his all into the performance, where Tobey Maguire seemed like he was just kind of there just to say, like, I'm here, I'm Toby, you don't need any more, I'm already here. But like Andrew Garfield seemed like he was like putting his all 100% effort into his performance, and Tobey Maguire was just like, yeah, I'm Toby. Like, I don't. It didn't seem like he was putting much more into his performance than that. At least for me. I mean, it was cool.
I can agree with that, and I think Andrew Garfield did it. This was actually going to play all into what I was going to say next. I think Andrew Garfield put out like the most effort because he knows how many people disliked his rendition of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And even with Tobey Maguire, you see him make like the biggest kind of like just joking all the other guys' face, like, oh, my back hurts. Obviously symbolizing I've had the trilogy movie for so long, and then my Spider-Man has, just been the favorited for just years now. Like, it's hard just trying to, keep the mantle and hold it up for as long as I have. And it was, I'm glad that they gave Andrew Garfield his chance to redeem himself. It did make me like his character more than what I did after attempting to watch his two movies. And I think that it just shows like what he was given was just absolutely just low tier, because I feel if it was Andrew Garfield in these three movies instead of Tom Holland, people would be saying the reverse, like, oh, Andrew Garfield is a very critical Spider-Man. He knows he does more of the attunement with, how the spider does, the feeling for its prey, the crawling around, the webbing and trying to mobilize, and the intelligence, and, just so on and so forth. Another big thing I liked is how much they let Tom Holland fuck up and have to deal with his consequences. He doesn't have Tony Stark anymore to bail him out like Daddy Warbucks.
He's a young man.
Happy. He doesn't, he lost May. I knew Aunt May was going to die. Even going into the movies, I'm like, he hasn't had anybody die yet. They're probably going to kill Aunt May.
She just has to.
I knew it was going to happen. Everybody was shedding tears, freaking out. I'm like, I saw this coming. The people I saw it with, I was like, I knew this was going to happen. He hasn't had a significant loss to just rattle his sense of justice, as we saw with Green Goblin. Yeah, Tony was an impromptu dad.
That's literally it.
He was the cool uncle. Yeah. Like, here, Junior, here's this fucking $3 million spider suit. Go crazy with it. Don't do anything I would do.
It was
but Tony did more.
Tony Stark's shadow overcasted over Spider-Man's essence throughout the MCU, and it was nice to actually see Spider-Man as his own person, at least at the end of the movie. And I'm like, well, I want another movie now because, he's finally fucking Spider-Man. He's finally his own person.
It took 3 movies for him to get on his own feet, and the death of his his Aunt May. And
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Another really big thing that I liked was some of the Now, this is going to play into what I also disliked. I liked some of the references that they made to previous works and even to the comics.
Some of them were cheese,
And I think it was very fitting because they know fans have been wanting this. Even after Far From Home was finished and Sony and Disney were like, well, this is our studio, so the rights really belong to us. And Sony was like, well, we still have claims to it, so really it falls under our jurisdiction. And it was that huge battle. And I'm sure everyone's seen the memes where Stan Lee's in heaven. He's like, don't make me come down there and put you in timeout, punk. When it came to Spider-Man, because, everybody likes a good Spider-Man movie. It was a lot of people's first rendition into like Marvel. If you didn't watch Blade, of course, or the OG Fantastic Four.
Oh God.
Oh.
And it
and don't forget the Hulk.
We'll leave the Hulk alone. And I really did enjoy how little, but also critical, Doctor Strange was in all of this.
Oh yeah.
While he was only there for maybe 40 minutes of screen time, he did tell Peter the hard facts, like, you need to fix this, and you can't just rely on everyone else forever. You have to grow up, kid.
No, yeah, I enjoyed that. Damn it, Josh.
We're just gonna ignore that. I'm gonna keep on.
Yeah. No, I did enjoy the Doctor Strange rebuttaling afterwards, after finding out everything that Peter was just telling him. He's like, go fuck yourself, you little kid. You're gonna go fix your own shit. You should have called. You should have thought more. You should have done other things. And then we just screwed up everything up, probably. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for doing all this crap. And I like how Doctor Strange kind of takes away, yeah, you can call me Steven. Go ahead. No, it's Doctor. It's Doctor now. No, sir. It's Sir. You don't call me anything else. And then at the end of the movie, he's like, call me Steven, because he's like, I'm not gonna
remember you again.
Fix
Wanna
it.
end this on a good note.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be a dick. Just call me Steven now.
But my absolute favorite thing was the interaction with the Spider-Man. Because even though obviously it was goofy, quirky, and silly, it was also serious in the respect of Tobey Maguire was telling Tom Holland Spider-Man, losing someone doesn't mean you have to break your sense of morals to get revenge, because revenge is a poison that almost took my life from me. And Andrew Garfield was also saying the same thing of, just because someone's gone, it doesn't mean that their message to you won't live on through your actions. And it took almost the death of another Spider-Man for Tom Holland's character to get that. And that was what I liked. Let me tell you about what I had an issue with. All of the fucking Spider-Man references. Look, I get it. Yeah. This was the third movie we all were waiting for. I knew it was going to happen, and I knew there was going to be a lot of it. But good God in heaven, it seems like almost every 5-minute interval they were making a reference to a past movie, like, oh, well, I can move to New Jersey and be the Spider-Man there. There's crime in New Jersey. They said that in Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, I can be the Spider-Man in New England. New England has crime.
Wicked crime.
And yeah, they did say that.
Wicked crime.
It was like, for me, I was bombarded and overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God.
I thought
it was almost. What was that, Josh?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it was almost just like Sony was just stuffing it in our face, like, okay, you guys wanted the third movie, here you go. And they just kept shoveling it down without any like breaks in between. Because Tom Holland did the same thing with Dr. Octavius. He was like, what's your name? Dr. Otto Octavius. And they're just laughing like, okay, seriously, what's your name? Dr. Otto Octavius, which is the same thing Tom Holland did when he met Doctor Strange for the first time. And I'm like,
we're using their made up names.
Yeah.
Now, see, as a Spider-Man fan, I was eating that shit up like by the spoonful. I loved it. I was all about that.
I thought the most cheesiest part was when William Dafoe was like, I'm something of a scientist myself. I'm like, come on.
That one was my favorite.
I didn't like that one. I was like, I get it. It's like
that
it's something weird,
but I still
it
anyway.
was super. It was forced. That's what I was like. Come on, it's embedded in meme culture at this point.
Yeah,
so that's the reason
they were
why
making a joke about
they
the
had
meme.
the line, and I was like, oh my God.
But hey, Gen Z will remember this movie because of that. That's for sure.
You're damn right about that. The biggest issue for me was how long the setup took.
Yeah.
And I mean like the setup. Okay, the first 30 minutes, Tom Holland fucks everything up. Okay, cool. You know, that's about how long it would take a kid to fuck up. 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
He spends all this time rounding up the villains. You got to go find the villains. That's going to be another 15, 20 minutes. You're trying to rehabilitate these villains and find cures to all of them. So, for what, though? That could have just been, to me, that could have just been a quick flyby, you know, and just get to the action. Because you just had your Aunt May die. You have the city just looking for you as some kind of war criminal. You have 2 other Spider-Man here to help you. Why did it only last for 30 minutes? I wanted like a full like hour of just nothing but just fighting and just back and forth banter. Like give me what I want. Show me Tom Holland trying to fight against Sandman and failing continuously. Show me Tobey Maguire trying to deal with Electro and getting almost electrocuted to death, you know, so many times. Doc Ock was good. He was placed perfectly. I don't have any issues with that. Willem Dafoe, I wish there was more screen time with him instead of how little there was while he was in the glider and, you know, suffering from the Green Goblin identity. Because that was, I think we all can agree that was just something right there. Because he took it back to 2002 Spider-Man. He put a beat down. And I want people, this is just a personal like grievance. Aunt May dying was inevitable. If you didn't see it coming, you kind of slow on the gun. 2002, Tobey Maguire lost Uncle Ben first movie. Amazing Spider-Man, he lost Gwen Stacy at the end of the first movie.
No, so he lost his uncle in the first movie too.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I don't give a shit about it.
You lost Mark
and then the third movie, we have Tom Holland lose Aunt May. Like, yeah, you could say him losing Tony Stark was important, but it's really only important because of how critical he looked up to him, and that was an idol dying. And to me, you can get over an idol dying, even though, yeah, he did have some influence in his life. But, I mean, outside of that, what was he doing? He wasn't paying his rent. He wasn't helping his aunt up and downstairs with the homeless people. He just kind of came in the game.
Deposits to the aunt.
Yeah,
we didn't know.
Tony Stark was just there as like, okay, your nephew is gonna intern with me, and I'm gonna pay him big bucks so we can get y'all out of this fucking hole in the wall piece of shit place y'all live in. Outside of that, what else was really important about Tony Stark? Obviously from the fact he was telling him, I've made mistakes, kid. I want you to be a better version of myself. So yeah, when your idol tells you that, it's gonna stick, but he barely knew the man for 6 months.
I mean, there's some I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's canon if like whatever time period was skipped over. It could have been a few.
Yeah, I don't know the exact timeline. I'm not gonna get into it, but it's just like I don't know. Tom Holland has always had his hand held his Spider-Man career. So it's like now that he's on his own, give me more. I want more.
I think it would have meant a lot more if it was like, obviously like pretend we didn't have a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, pretend we didn't have Andrew Garfield, and we started out with Spider-Man, just literally Spider-Man, like he has 3 movies of being Spider-Man, and then he's thrown into all this MCU shit, then it would actually mean something. But then once you just are introduced to Spider-Man from like the beginning, he's like, Tony Stark is his granddad. Then, like, you're like, okay, there's not really much meaning behind the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man anymore. Once he goes into space and fights fucking Thanos and time travels and all this shit, then it doesn't really
and he's
mean
got
anything.
all the hot MCU heroines protecting him in Endgame.
Yeah, and he
No,
has this
no.
hot aunt. Like,
It's like
Jealous of that.
where's his really time to shine? Because when the first movie he had help fighting the Vulture, second movie he had, I guess you could say he had help dealing with Mysterio. That one was kind of a hit and miss for me. Jake Gyllenhaal did a great Mysterio, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, I could take it or leave it.
yeah.
And now we have, obviously the multiverse finally being brought to the cinematic universe, which I think is long overdue personally, especially after the snap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm excited for that.
What else did I not care for? I didn't really care for how they made Happy just this love-drunk idiot for Aunt May. I'm like, okay,
He was just a
they
joke
fooled
at that
around.
point, yeah.
Let's just kind of move past it. I don't really care nothing about their relationship.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did.
I was like, okay, this is funny. Now this is just cringy.
Yeah.
No, I hear you on that one.
Yeah. I wanna get back on the villains a little bit. Like Matt well Connor was saying that the Lizard and the Sandman weren't portrayed by the actual voice actors. Is that, or the actors anymore?
Yeah, they were reusing and digitally appropriating old footage of them and using voice modulation to have new actors say new lines.
That's kind of weird. I don't know if I like that. But the Lizard sounded like the scientist gremlin from Gremlins 2.
I just didn't want to say it.
No way, that's his girlfriend.
Yeah, he just sounded like very over the top and just cartoony. And I would have liked the Lizard more if he was just like a monster, and then like he can't really express his feelings, or
dinosaurs talking.
Yeah, I would have liked it more if he just couldn't talk. I think it would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
You know what would have been a better villain? That fucking tree. That tree would have been a better fucking villain.
Just a tree, man.
Fucking tree.
Yeah.
Just a tree.
That was Groot's son. I wish, what I wish? I liked how they brought the, Amazing Spider-Man villains or whatever, even the Lizard Gremlin. And I liked how they brought the Tobey Maguire villains, obviously, because those are the best ones. But Tom Holland didn't have a villain, really. It was like all of their villains. Like, it would have been nice if,
because all of his villains are dead except for the Vulture.
Yeah, they should have brought the Vulture. They should have brought the Vulture in because he was the best one, and like Michael Keaton. And then there's only 5 of them. If they had brought in the Vulture, it would have been the Sinister Six. And why didn't they bring in the fucking 6th one? Why didn't they have a 6th villain?
Well, remember he did say you screwed up my spell 6 times. Our 6th was Venom. It was Eddie Brock, but he just didn't show up.
He doesn't count. Fuck that. Fuck that. He doesn't even know who Peter Parker is. Why the fuck is he there? I don't give a shit about Venom.
I need to bring Venom.
I don't give a shit about Venom. Gotta go get him. Fucking Eminem bullshit. I could give a less of a fuck. Like I wish if they're gonna bring him there, at least bring him into the fight, or at least actually make the Sinister Six the Sinister Six instead of like having a throwaway joke or like
the Fantastic Five.
Yeah, exactly.
Fabulous
like,
Five.
That's
I'm
what
sorry.
That's what it was at the Fab Five at that point. Like it was just like pointless. It would have been nice if like they each had their villains, like they Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and then at least Tom Holland had one of his like rogue gallery. So it's like, okay, like I know this one, you know that one, you know this one, but like he knew none of them. So like he had no direct connection to any of these people. So it would have been nice if he had at least a direct connection to one of the villains. Where it would have been a little bit more of an even playing field for each Spider-Man. And okay, so why is Venom there He doesn't even have a Peter Parker.
I don't know.
And
there's no
like,
connection that I've seen.
Well, there is a Spider-Man in his universe. You know, that's how those movies start. Yeah. He just doesn't show up.
Are you sure? I mean, I never seen these stupid movies, so I just thought the point was Venom's just Venom.
No, Venom has. It's implied, they don't really like make it clear, but it's implied in the Venom movies that Venom has already bonded to Spider-Man, and that's why he knows who Peter Parker is in the post-credit scene of the second one.
Oh,
I just think that's a waste of bringing Eddie Brock in, because if he was in there, he was going to put the pause on all of them, and they were going to have a hard time dealing with that. Well, except maybe Tobey Maguire, because he's dealt with Spider-Man once already.
Yeah,
he should have gone.
But even still, like, I was looking forward to we're finally going to get the Eddie Brock, Spider-Man fight. That I like that rivalry, because it's like, fuck you, Spider-Man. He's like, Venom, eat shit.
Yeah,
because they're just trying to combat each other.
That's an interesting thing about those characters, is the dynamic. And once you pull Venom into his own universe and it's just Venom, like, who cares? There's no Spider-Man. Who gives a shit? And then, so that's what was confusing. Like, I didn't know why Venom was there. And I didn't know, like, this was another thing with, what's his face? Blue face man?
Electro.
Jamie Foxx. Why was he? Yeah, why was Jamie Foxx there if he didn't even know who Peter Parker was?
I was very confused on that, because he was. Because another memorable line from him.
You're just a kid.
Yeah, he was like, he said, you're just a kid, and he was like, under that mask, I thought you were black. Obviously referencing, Miles Morales, because we're going to get Into the Spider-Verse Part 1 in the new movie. But I'm like, how in the world does that even make sense? Because he doesn't know Peter Parker. He just got introduced to this multiverse thing. So there's no way he would have even had a cognitive time to think, oh, maybe the Spider-Man's black. What? When would you even have a thought process of Spider-Man being black?
He met him when he was a nerd in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And he's like, I'm Spider-Man's biggest fan. Yeah, you're my friend.
Yeah, I'm a nerdy asshole.
You're my friend, Spider-Man. I hate you now. I'm blue. And that's when he thought he was black. When he turned blue. He said, I'm blue.
And it was, I think it's in the first one that it was childish Donald Glover. He was playing the the uncle from Miles Morales. He was like, yo, you're
Uncle
Spider-Man.
Aaron.
My nephew's your biggest fan. And I'm like, that's a weird place to put a Miles Morales reference. And then, obviously we get another one. So I'm like, well, why the fuck didn't y'all just give us Miles Morales as a fourth Spider-Man?
Because
he would been a hint to him somewhere.
He would have
who's going to play him?
I think they have enough going on with Spider-Man. It would have been nice if they set up a Miles Morales or something, but I think too much is already going on at this point. I think Miles Morales would have been a little more, just more. I wouldn't say fluff, but just it's already overblown.
Would have been busy.
Yeah. And the only Miles Morales that people know is the cartoon one. So he would have been a cartoon in the movie, and that would have been very. That would have been very, very confusing.
Okay, that I'd like to see.
Yeah. It would have been Space Jam 2, the piece of shit one that no one likes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I still haven't watched that. I can't bring myself to watch it.
Just don't. At this point. Space Jam 2.
Oh, Space Jam.
Space Jam.
Come on and slam.
I hated.
Yeah, class act.
I hated the second one so much.
We're talking about Spider-Man, not Space Jam,
I know.
man. So you guys have any? What are your guys' final thoughts and ratings and whatever you want to say about this movie?
I feel as though we should go in sequential order and have Connor go, then Matt, then myself, and then the host with the most.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. Spider-Man No Way Home was a wonderful conclusion to the MCU Sony collaboration trilogy. I thought it was a pretty tastefully done send-off. A lot of clever references hidden, a lot of really good literary devices to help you get to the end, and sort of gives you the closure that we wanted from this character in the context of the MCU. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Okay. Connor was saying, I agree with. Thank you. like I was saying, I agree with Connor. It does very good closing up the trilogy set for Tom Holland Spider-Man. I kind of still wish they kind of with it. I kind of do wish they kind of shortened it, tightened it up a little bit more, and kind of ripped out maybe here and two, like a villain or two out of it. Mostly the lizard. But it was good. It's a good movie. It's one I can watch it over and over again. I wouldn't have I didn't have a complaint the first two times, the first and second time I've seen it. I'll probably watch it again down the road later on, or probably buy it or the deleted scene stuff. So you can attach to certain things, like we're all saying, you can attach to them or not attach to the movie. Characters, they give, Jerry's saying, they give out a lot of references to certain things in comic books and other movies. But it's just, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't go crazy and give it a 9. I'll give it more like a
crazy am I?
Yeah.
I think I would give it an 8 or an 8.5. I'm maybe.
I mean, that's not like
Spider-Man.
That's different. Yeah. Wait, is that it, Matt? Or are you done?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Oh God, you're killing me.
I'm gonna be honest. I think it got slowed up in its own traction, that it missed what could have been some good points to conclude Tom Holland saga. I think it was still beautifully done. Don't get me wrong, because we've been wanting, the other two Spider-Men to join Tom Holland for a movie since the second one. And I think they did it very tastefully, as best they could, considering, the age of the actors and, how much time has also passed with what's going on in phase 4 of the cinematics. I have my own personal issues. Don't fight me for it, viewers, please. I really wish they would have did the scene together from Spider-Man 3 where, Tobey Maguire's coming down the stairs and it's and they just all follow suit. But, that's just another personal preference. Despite some of, I feel, the shortcomings that they had with the overuse of references, I would still give this a semi-solid 8. I would definitely cut down the time. I do think 2.5 hours was a bit much, considering the setup took most of the movie. And even within the setup, we only got a few memeable and quirky moments. And some of the best scenes were honestly when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire came in, and also when, Willem Dafoe, did his thing as Green Goblin. I would still watch this movie again. Maybe I'll have a better appreciation for it if I watch it one more time, just because, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. I'm kind of over Sony with what they've done to movies, like with Venom and how they just messed up the Fantastic Four 6-7 years ago, I think it was. I'm glad that this deal is over. So hopefully we can just let Spider-Man rest and let Peter Parker rest and let some of the other Spider personas take a new light. Hopefully with Miles Morales and maybe even Gwen Stacy as, you know, obviously Spider-Gwen getting
I'll
a
be
movie.
right back, guys. Sorry about that.
All right. Just to, you know, switch up what's become a rinse and repeat of, okay, let's keep doing Spider-Man. And I think that's all I got. Josh?
I think Connor's microphone is having feedback. But
Yeah.
Connor, that is annoying. You guys can't hear it, but we can. But Matt, I guess you're having audio issues, but for the last bit. But speak now and let us know if
Hi. How you
Matt's
guys
still
doing?
having issues. Yeah.
They might be.
Me-
I think they're saying your audio might be a little too quiet. Try moving your microphone closer.
Okay. Hi. How you guys doing?
That is
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
We got an audio guy. We'll clean this
I would
up and
say
put
it
it
would be
on
Connor
Apple Music,
because-
Spotify.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I would say Connor's because Connor gives me issues in my head.
I know that feedback is getting too much for me, so that's why I'm taking my headphones off. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, yeah, that's all right. What are my final thoughts? I would probably give this an 8 out of 10. It was my favorite. It was good. It's definitely my favorite out of the what is this? The Mark Webb? Well,
Yes.
it's not Mark Webb.
What?
Who directed
Who's
this?
Mark Webb?
Mark
Oh.
Webb's the last amazing Spider-Man. Whatever. It's my favorite of the Tom Holland trilogy.
Oh,
And,
John Watts.
John Watts, that's it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of plot holes as well. If you think about it a lot, it does kind of like seem like
If you see it 3 times like I did.
yeah, like some of the problems with slipped through the seams. But all in all, I did enjoy myself, and it's like really miraculous to even like say like, hey, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and fucking Tom Holland were in the same fucking movie, and they're all Spider-Man. That was awesome, and like
It's awesome.
that iconic shot with all the 3 Spider-Mans. That was really cool. And I was like thinking like the like going back to well, you know, my favorite superhero, Superman. Like I'm thinking of the equivalent of that would be like George Reeves, you know, Christopher Reeve, and Henry Cavill in like one movie, which is obviously impossible.
Oh, man.
So like it's like crazy. It's kind of cool at the same time that they made the Spider-Man movies like so close together, because that's the only way this would have been possible. Say like the first Spider-Man trilogy came out in like the 1970s. Like that actor probably would have been way too old or paralyzed or
True.
not alive. So you know, this is the only superhero I could really think of really work with this. Like you can do this with Adam West or, you know, any, you know, Batman. And I think Batman doesn't really work with that kind of
With multiverse stuff.
Yeah, he's a little too one note and just too brooding to really be a teammate with other brooding Batman. Like that would have been fun. The only one who
We'll see what happens in Flashpoint, I guess.
Yeah, Adam West.
They
I
better
guess
give us Terry McGinnis.
That's
as
what I mean.
Batman Beyond.
It's like
Michael Keaton is the perfect age now for it to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see that.
That'd be so cool.
It seems like the Marvel universe like kind of beat DC to that multiverse. But I mean, I guess they have been doing it with the television shows, but I feel like this is like the most mainstream where like, you know, everyone has seen this. Yeah, it has its problems. I do want to see it again to really give it my final really thoughts. You know, it's like between a 7 and an 8. I would probably give it an 8 because I was like pretty ecstatic seeing all the Spider-Man together. But yeah, I don't know. It was a good movie. It was a good time. I recommend it. I would watch it again. I definitely watch it again. So yeah, that's it. I'm done.
I have a post thought I would like to share.
Okay.
I personally feel like Marvel is kind of giving us these movies in the quality they are because they know they don't have any competition as far as, you know, superhero movies go. So it's like as we've seen with Captain Marvel, Black Widow, and I'm going to put Shang-Chi on the list just because, as much as I liked it, I thought it was very mid-tier. I would put it at a high mid, not a low mid.
Yeah.
I'm going to be fair. It's, they don't have, yes, DC is putting out their movies, but I feel like, as we've seen, they're struggling to get good directors to bring a vision forth. Oh.
What was that shit?
I wanted to see what it would look like. Sorry.
It got weird.
Wait, what does this look like? Whoa, I'm the master.
I did it wrong.
I do believe that if DC was to tighten up their direction in their cinematics and made movies that Marvel fans would be like, DC's last 5 movies have been better than Marvel's last 8. So
I'm not holding my breath.
Obviously it's going to take them some time because Marvel has been doing it longer. So they've had their fuck up movies. They still have them here and there, but it's like DC still trying to get their foothold in the cinematic comic universe style. And I've give DC maybe another 10 years and they'll finally get it.
10 years?
I give them 10 years.
A long time to wait.
I give them 10 years. I mean, Marvel's basically holding it down unless Michael Bay decides to come back and give us more explosions and Transformers.
Oh, wow. I don't want any of that. I gave up on Transformers after the second one. I was like,
I think we've all had enough of that.
Yeah.
Not as much as I'm a Transformers fan, but like, I don't know.
The third and fourth one killed me, and I'm a huge Transformers fan.
Yeah.
I was so hyped for the Dinobots, but then I saw the Dinobots and I'm like, it was neat to have. It was neat to have them. But
I'm done.
The story wasn't there.
I'm just gonna wrap this up, obviously, so we can conclude the episode. I think if we do to Marvel what Sonic fans did to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie when they first released the trailer and cyberbully them into submission, we can get some more tight-ended films that aren't overly lengthy without being too short and the right length without being overly in your face.
We'll get on it, Internet.
You
heard him.
Comment, subscribe, and ring the bell icon and hit all notifications so you never miss another live video.
Yeah, and every time a bell rings, an angel.
Mateo gets his wings.
Yeah, Mateo gets his wings. Yeah.
Godzilla gets a new movie.
Oh no!
Great.
Do we need more of those? Do we really need more of that?
Yes, we do. We need more Godzilla.
The Japanese ones, not the American ones.
Not Shin Godzilla, just Toho standard Godzilla.
You want to take us away, Josh?
Okay. Wait. Oh yeah. Who has the next recommendation? Who does it?
Oh right, it's my picks next.
Yes, it is.
Completely. See, this is why Josh is the host with the most. He keeps us reminded.
No,
so I'm going to follow.
I saved it.
I get all the credit. Yeah.
I pulled that break.
It's extra crispy today.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to follow a inspiration that Josh had us do with comparing 2 remakes of The Fly by also doing 2 remakes. We will be watching the 1984 Fright Night and compare it to the 2011 Fright Night. Same bat time, same bat place.
Oh man, I've seen the original. I didn't even know there was a remake.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
I think it would be a good funny one because I watched it in theaters. I'm not gonna start talking about a review yet because we're wrapping up, but I think it would be something funny to just kind of here's what they did versus here's what we had originally.
Yeah, I've seen the original. I have seen the original. Yeah, it's been a little bit. Okay. All right, I'm excited for that. I mean, I'm excited to see that movie again. That'll be a good time.
And as you can tell, this is still within the holiday spirit of Christmas.
Yeah,
Because it's not a Christmas movie.
Nobody understands the importance of giving more than a vampire.
Yeah,
Who
I mean,
needs you to give him your living blood.
Christmas is over now. We could get out of the
There you go.
Christmas season.
Only 265 days until Halloween.
Yeah, 264.
Nice.
And so with that, boys, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, so if you guys don't want to be, spoiled for Fright Night 1985 and 2011, please feel free to watch those before we do the next podcast episode, which will probably be in 2 weeks from now, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Every other 2 weeks, depending on what Tuesday we want to do this. But yeah, Tuesday.
Whatever the hell we feel like.
Yeah, on Tuesday. Okay, yeah. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this was Josh from BatYard's Finest sending you up, and away until next BatYard's Finest episode.
This is Jerry guiding you all through the dark sector with Green Lantern's light.
And then Superman's pal Matt sending you guys off.
And I am Connor, rising from Atlantis to bring you the latest in pop culture talk.
And becoming super friends one episode at a time.
We did it. We talked Spider-Man, guys. Let's never do this one again.
Oh, hey, call me back anytime for a Spider-Man talk. I'm your guy.
Like, if we're going to do anything Spider-Man, it's going to be the 70s Japanese one. And I'm going to do that.
I'll do one.
I will figure this one together. Hilarious, yes.
I'll
figure something out.
Find it short. Yeah. I don't know who's
after. Be down the road more.
Jerry, who's after you? Is it Matt or is it... I don't.
Yeah, it's Matt.
Oh yeah, I just
it's Matt, you, then me.
Oh yeah, I did the fucking snowman and
yes,
the
snowman
movie.
and Michael Keaton.
I like I don't even count that as a pick because it was stupid. All right, good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night.